you very much.
Before we start the proceedings, we remember those who we have lost. We learned with great sadness about the death of our dear colleague Richard Cavan-Gosper, IOC honorary member. Cavan-Gosper was a man with a great passion for the Olympic movement, which he dearly loved. He was a man with very strong convictions and opinions, with which he greatly contributed to our success. He served for decades as ONOC president, as an IOC member, and for many years on the IOC executive board. We will miss a distinguished man and a true friend of the Olympic movement. We also learned with great sadness about the death of our dear colleague James Easton, IOC honorary member. Jim dedicated his life to archery, the sport he loved so much. His contribution to the sport is immense, and he leaves behind a legacy that will continue to support and inspire generations, not only of archers, but of athletes and sports officials worldwide. For all these reasons, we will honor his memory. We also learned with great sadness about the death of our dear colleague Munir Sabet, IOC honorary member. Munir Sabet was a great ambassador of the Olympic movement in his home country, Egypt, in Africa and beyond. Following his distinguished athletic career in shooting sport, he spent 4 decades holding many leadership positions roles on national and international levels. He will be missed by all of us. We also lost our dear colleague Nils Holst Sørensen, IOC honorary member. He was an accomplished athlete and a distinguished sports leader who contributed immensely to the Olympic movement in his home country, Denmark, and worldwide. He leaves behind a sporting legacy of sporting excellence that will be forever cherished by our Olympic community. On a personal note, I may add, I will miss a dear friend who helped and supported me from the very beginning of my IOC membership. With the passing away of IOC honor member Henry Kissinger, the Olympic movement lost a longtime friend and sports enthusiast. His insights and guidance were instrumental in shaping the broader role of the IOC. He tirelessly advocated the power of the Olympic Games to bring the world together in peaceful competition. I will always be grateful for his invaluable advice he gave me in all the many geopolitical issues the world and we in the IOC had to face in recent years. I will greatly miss a brilliant man and a warm-hearted friend. We also remember all the athletes and officials who have lost their lives due to the too many wars and conflicts in this world. And we also remember all the members of the Olympic family who have passed away since our last session. Dear colleagues and friends, may I ask you to stand as a mark of respect in all their honor. Thank you. And now, on a more happier note, I think I can speak for all of you by congratulating our colleague and friend Bartoszek Bartolt for his birthday today. Happy birthday, Bartoszek. I spare you my singing and give rather the floor to the IOC Director General for advise us on the further proceedings.
Yes, no singing from me. Bonjour, good morning to everyone. The excused members for these sessions are Yelena Isinbayeva and Yasuhiro Yamashita, according to Rule 18.3 of the Olympic Charter, the required quorum of half of the total membership plus one is met and the session may validly take decisions. I remind you also that EB candidatures form are to be submitted today by 5 p.m. And also, in order to respect the timing of the agenda, there will be no coffee breaks, but of course tea and coffee will be available permanently. Now the floor is back to you, President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director General. With this, we could already proceed to topic 2 of the agenda, which is the approval and signature of the minutes of our last session in Mumbai. So far, we have not received any comments on the minutes. Are there any right now? You want to withdraw some of your comments you made in Mumbai? Or? No, I cannot see anything. Then we can consider these minutes to be approved and proceed to topic 3 of the agenda. This is my report. You have received my written report, and you heard my speech last night, and even if it was maybe a little bit short, I hope it has covered at least some of the topics. But we're open on questions and comments with regard to both reports or any other topics you want to raise. Are there any? No, it doesn't appear to be the case. Then thank you very much. And we could already move on to 6.1. These are the games of the 33rd Olympiad Paris 2024. And for this, we can invite the delegation of Paris. I hope they're already here, because for once we are ahead of schedule. Bonjour. Chers amis,
difference. Our session will deal to a great extent to the Olympic Games here in Paris 2024. Today we are 3 days out from the opening ceremony, and it is with a lot of anticipation that I would like to invite the organizing committee to present their latest report before the kickoff of the Olympic Games. I think that we already feel the enthusiasm growing here, growing not just in Paris, but throughout the whole of France. More than 6 million persons welcome the Olympic flame. Wherever you may look, I think that all the lights are green. Everything has been set. Everything is ready. The organizing committee is ready, but remains vigilant and is looking after the latest and last details. And it is therefore with a lot of anticipation, but also with a lot of trust that we look forward to your report. We have here the delegation of Paris 2024 with its president, Tony Estanguet, Etienne Taubois, the chief executive officer, Marie Barsac, the executive director, Impact and Legacy, Sophie Laurent, International Relations, Senior Director, Shoshina Kano, Environmental Excellence Director. So now I would give you the floor. Tony? We look forward to your presentation. Thank you very much, President of the IOC. Dear Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, members of the IOC and the family of the Olympic movement. Dear friends, good morning to you all. By entrusting the organizing of the Olympic Games to France, which is the birthplace of Baron de Coubertin, modern Olympic Games founder, we have the immense honor, but also an immense responsibility. On 2 occasions, France organized the Summer Games, and on 3 occasions, the Winter Games. Here, in France, we have a special love and an unconditional love for the Games. And it is therefore with a lot of emotion that we are organizing the Games 100 years after the last Summer Games were organized in France. The pathway that you established in Lima 7 years ago is clear. Imagine that we had to deliver the first Olympic Games in conformity with the Olympic Agenda 2025. Spectacular games, responsible games, bold games, and committed games. As I was saying yesterday evening, President, we had a twofold ambition. On one hand, we wanted to be able to ensure that we could maintain that focus on athletes, as has always been the case, but also to be able to move towards a more sober format, one which is in line with the demands of today. This led to the creation of a vision which was translated into a slogan and which has guided all our actions. Let us open the Games wide. Games wide open was the slogan we adopted. With Paris 2024, we're opening the Games wide open by opening up the stadia and putting the Games at the foot of the monuments which are so emblematic. Concorde, Grand Palais, Eiffel Tower, the Chateau de Versailles, and Etienne, I'm sure, will also talk about this in a moment. In Paris 2024, we're opening the Games wide open, and we are going to ensure that we can have the celebration, for example, at the base of the Eiffel Tower, which will allow us to bring the athletes and the supporters together. It is also there where we will feel the Games vibrate. With Paris 2024, we're opening the Games so that we can have the marathon for all. This is the first time where the spectators will get off the bleachers and will participate and will be able to actually live their dreams. And because we can dream better at night, the marathon for all will be run at night with the Olympic marathon between the 10th and 20th of August for men and women. With Paris 2024, we're opening the Games wide open with the first Olympic opening ceremony at the very heart of the city, on the most spectacular stages, the River Seine in Paris. Games wide open are also committed games committed to climate, equality, and against sedentarity. We wanted to reduce CO2 emissions by a factor of 2. We will hear about that in a moment. The Games have been an incredible driving force to bring young people into this. Marie will be talking about that in a moment. And thanks to the mobilization of the IOC and the international federations, we hope that we'll be organizing the first Equality Games, and that is a great source of pride to us all. This twofold ambition, spectacular and responsible games, has allowed us to bring together, in spite of differences, people from all walks of life, from athletes to politicians, from employers to trade unions. Everybody in France, actors, actresses, people working on site who have helped us take up the challenge with more than 5,000 cities, regions, clubs, sports centers who have participated in our endeavors. There is more than 5 million members of the Club 2024. Thanks to the Games, they've had a unique experience. Indeed, thousands of them will be with us on Friday for the opening ceremony. And they will represent an immense community of people, men and women, in favor of sport. People from the world of culture have also been committed. More than 2,500 projects and more than 1,000 cultural events throughout France. That's also the case this week with an exceptional program, and in particular at the Olympia, this mythical place of French culture. And then with the torch relay, which allowed millions of spectators to vibrate. And that has been the case for the last 2.5 months. 200,000 persons were in Marseille to welcome the torch in the Old Port, in a wonderful atmosphere. As you were saying, this is more than 6.5 million persons who have accompanied the torch relay throughout France. Last weekend in Paris, the torch also delighted us. 500,000 persons came to see it go past, and the France television viewing was 20 million spectators. Now, perhaps I can show you some pictures which will show you the history of the torch relay.
Si on y arrive. J'ai l'impression qu'on a un petit souci avec les slides. Merci, on ne se lasse pas de ces
Thank you
images.
very much.
Au-delà du relais de la flamme partout en
Apart
France,
from
on
the
attend les
torch
Jeux et
raid
on
in
se
France,
prépare à
we're
célébrer.
waiting for the
Au
games
total, ce seront
with
plus de
impatience. So
200
going to be more
de
than
célébrations qui vont
200
être mises en
sites where
place
we're
un
going
peu
to be
partout en
celebrating
France,
the games
avec
throughout the
180
whole of
clubs
France with
2024. Ce
180
seront des
Club
incroyables lieux de
2024.
fête, des
These
lieux
are
de
places
célébration
of festivity
pour
and
les athlètes.
celebration for the
Il y aura
athletes.
notamment le club
There's
France
going
à la
to
Villette,
be
au
the
sein du Parc des
France
Nations,
Club
qui va
in La
regrouper plus
Villette
d'une
at
quinzaine de
the
comités nationaux
Parc de la
olympiques.
Villette, where
Ce
national
seront
Olympic
aussi,
committees
on a
will come
hâte de
together.
partager
But
cet
we're also
enthousiasme
looking
avec le
forward
monde
to
entier
sharing this
dès
enthusiasm
demain.
with the whole world
Et je peux vous
as
dire
of tomorrow. And I
après
can
avoir
tell you
commencé cette
that
aventure il y
having
a 10 ans, ça fait
started
un peu
this
bizarre
adventure 10 years
pour
ago,
dire que
it's a
c'est dès
bit
demain
strange to
que les
say that
premières
it's going to
compétitions
start
de
tomorrow.
football
It's
et
going to
de
be
rugby
the
vont
first
commencer.
rugby and
On
football
sent bien que les
competitions start
émotions
tomorrow.
arrivent.
The
Alors que
emotions
j'espère
are
que vous êtes
building
prêts,
up,
prêts à
and I
assister à
hope
des
that you're ready
performances
to
incroyables, à des records,
watch
des sites iconiques comme Place de Paris,
fantastic
comme vous ne l'avez jamais
performances
vu,
in this
prêts à vivre des
emblematic
duels
city,
coup
where
à
we're
coup,
going
des
to
victoires à l'arraché, des retournements de
see how
situation
victories are going
comme
to
seul
be
le sport et les
won,
jeux peuvent nous en
and
faire
only
vivre.
the
Et
sport
aux
and
frissons,
only
aux
Olympic
larmes,
Games
se
can
joie aussi à
provide
toutes ces
this
émotions que vous ne risquerez pas
level of
Друзі,
emotion to
другі
reach its pinnacle.
емоції,
We're going to go into a
которые
bit more detail
существуют
with
здесь.
Etienne Toubois'
Thank
presentation.
you, Tony. Yes, our venues are ready. You know that our concept was inspired by Agenda 2020, and as a result, 95% of our venues are existing or temporary. The existing venues are now fully dressed like the Stade de France, ready to welcome the best athletes of the world. Some are transformed for the occasion, like the Paris Défense Arena, which has become an Olympic swimming pool, or the historic Stade de Roland-Garros, that will become and welcome tennis, but also boxing. Thanks to the work of Solideo and the venue owners, the few constructions that will leave a long-lasting and well-needed legacy were delivered on time and on budget, which allowed us to do enough testing and build the necessary overlay. You should, or you could see here pictures, but you won't, of the La Chapelle Arena, the new beautiful new aquatic center, and of course the Olympic Village that is now on full operational mode. So I guess you'll have to go and see by yourself in the venues the fantastic look and feel that we've developed. Last but not least, the temporary venues in iconic places, leveraging on the architectural and cultural legacy of Paris and its region, bringing the games at the heart of the city. The equestrian and modern pentathlon competition will be held in the park of the Château de Versailles, with a quite spectacular perspective on the canal. At the center of Paris, that will become an incredible Olympic park in the very heart of the city, with the Eiffel Champ de Mars venue for beach volleyball, which, as you normally could see comparing the two pictures we delivered as planned, looking at the visual. But also the urban sport will be celebrated at La Concorde, bringing together history and modernity, sport and culture, with archery at Les Invalides, or with fencing and taekwondo under the dome of the Grand Palais, while the triathletes and marathon swimmers will experience a spectacular dive below the iconic Alexander III Bridge. Thanks to an Olympic record sales of tickets, these venues will be full of fans from all over the world to cheer for the athletes, with 8.8 million tickets already sold and counting, with few tickets still available. To run these venues, we can count on our 84 commercial partners, another French record, who not only bring their financial contribution to the Games, but maybe more importantly, their expertise and their people in their field of excellence to make these Games a success. We cannot thank them enough. Talking about people, they are the biggest asset of Paris 2024. Our contractors, our 4,000 plus staff, and our 45,000 volunteers coming from 155 countries can't wait for these Games to begin and demonstrate to the world their passions and skills. All of them are proud and excited to be part of this fantastic journey. Let me now say a few words on security. Security is our priority number one. There is no party if there is no security. We've been working hand in hand with the national government from day one. The torch relay is a perfect example of that efficient collaboration, while tight security went along with a fantastic celebration. Private security will be displayed by Paris 2024 inside the venues, with an average of 17,000 private security contractors per day coming from 110 companies. Public forces will ensure a safe and secure environment in the public domain and in the public transport, with an unprecedented setup, including for the opening ceremony where no stones has been left unturned. They will also control the Olympic lanes to guarantee the time travel between Olympic venues. Talking about transport. Transport, as we've all experienced in previous games, is probably the most complex operations of the games. We know how transport is important for all stakeholders during the games, and we are doing our best effort to get it right as competitions are about to begin. So please, bear with us. For public transport, as per our commitment, 100% of our venues are available and accessible by public transport. Thanks to our partner, IDFM, the offer has been adapted to service the venues on a case-by-case basis according to the venue capacity. And very important for Paris 2024, most venues will also be accessible by bike, with 415 kilometers of bicycle path and 27,000 parking places available at venues. IDFM has also dedicated a special application to help spectators to plan their journey with the most relevant itinerary. For accredited transport, it is 1,300 buses and 3,000 hybrid and electric cars, thanks to a partner Toyota, that will be operating on 185 kilometers of Olympic lanes during the Games. My last focus will be on sport operations. I want here to thank the national federations from which we sourced most of the 10,000 sport-specific volunteers. I can tell you that they are enthusiasts, motivated, and eager to begin. A big thank also to the international federations for their help in designing the 4,000 different references and the 1.2 million pieces of equipment in coordination with the look of the Games, enabling us to develop a spectacular field of play. Sport presentation has also been a key focus, and we believe that the experience for athletes and spectators is going to be very Paris 2024-like, in a colorful mix of sport and culture. One last word to thank my team. At Paris 2024, we are blessed with a fantastic team that works under the great leadership of Tony to deliver on all aspects of the Games and welcome the world. On the eve of the first competition day, 3 days from the opening ceremony, we are now down to the final stretch with a strong determination to fix what needs to be fixed, to adapt what needs to be adapted, and to provide the best possible experience to you, to the athletes, and to all our clients, including media and spectators. Mr. President, dear friends, everything is in place for the sport to begin and for Olympism to be celebrated.
Thank you. We believe the Games can change society, but that they must evolve with it. As for any edition of the Games, we're taking a date with history, and we're adding an extra edge. This week, The Economist published an article by Games historian David Goldblatt pleading to all the Olympics to save the planet. Well, we're actually doing better than that. Together, we're proving the Olympics can provide and showcase concrete solutions to climate ambitions, to protect biodiversity, and develop much higher circularity. Games that deliver more sport and yet do it with less, that do it better, leaving a long-lasting legacy. For that, we turn our games into a laboratory and a springboard for innovations. Of course, we could have not done it alone. Sponsors, suppliers, host territories, the state, all played together as one team alongside Paris 2024. So much that ambitions that seemed unreachable a few years ago are now becoming reality. The Village, showcasing new construction techniques with 30% less carbon per square meter. Our spectacular temporary venues align ingenuity and frugality. All our venues powered by solar and wind, renewable electricity, leaving a legacy of secured grid connections that should reduce dependency on fossil fuels for years to come. Our spectators accessing all venues by public transportation, by bike, by foot. Our meals and refreshments would reduce dependency on single-use plastics and creative, low-carbon catering offering. A second life for our 6 million goods and equipments, with 90% already secured. Our medals, the ultimate symbol of success, not only made with 100% recycled metals, but also proving that old is the new gold. And the Seine, of which the Games accelerated its recovery, not only for Parisians, but also for more than 30 fish species that decided to come back. But rest assured, no sharks. Yes, we work with all our ecosystem to do things differently, and sometimes we did not take the easiest option. These were just examples of what our games are doing to play their part in addressing today's climate and environmental challenges. And now, for this final sprint, we need the sum of everyone's little contributions. So we launched a full campaign to encourage spectators, tourists, and Parisians alike to play their part, their small actions. Because we are convinced that today, more than ever, we can be better together. Thank you.
Monsieur le Président, Mesdames, Messieurs les membres du
President,
studio,
ladies and gentlemen of the IOC, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning to talk about three examples of the Legacy program. We're already seeing a positive impact, France, things that are visible, examples which show that Legacy is already there in accordance with 2025 plus 5. We've got a taking stock operation, and we have 4.5 beneficiaries of our program, and there has also been a positive impact of the games on the Saint-Denis, the 30 minutes of physical activity per day. We've been fighting against sedentarity for children between 6 and 11 years. This is an absolute priority because it is at this age that your health is built up, and our relationship with, our report on physical activity has now been published. In 2020, we launched an experiment to the schools in Saint-Denis. In 2021-2022, 10,000 schools in France decided to take up the program to implement the measures, and at the end of 2022, we carried out an impact study to show that this actually works. 91% of teachers told us that children were in a better health and were much happier, and as a result we were able to convince the French government to generalize this measure and to roll it out through all schools in France. That measure today improves already the health of children and produces effects in the long term for the generation of people in 2024. If you want to move more, and perhaps you will be inspired to do so, on the 28th of July, on the 31st of July, and the 1st and 11th August, there will be fitness programs in your hotels. We are saying that people have to move more, and during the games we're going to get people to try and move more in their day-to-day lives. Then there is also our endowment fund, which was created in 2020 to support all those who every day show that sports can change people's lives. Projects which show that sport is a solution to meet the challenges of our society, particularly in view of climate climate change, sedentary. Sport can provide the solution. With our stakeholders, where we mobilized 50 million euros in terms of subvention or subsidies for a number of associations, 1,500 in France, but we also have a number of African projects, and I'd like to thank our colleagues here who've helped us here. 4.5 million, which are the number of people who have really been able to participate in the games this year. What we want to also ensure that women also have a better position in society through sport. Sport is a tool which allows you to construct a more egalitarian society. 30% of our subsidies have been really being diverted to empowering women, which ensures that the public spaces are rebalanced between men and women, and so that women perhaps can rebuild their lives after they've been the victims of violence. We've also been promoting equality in sport. As a result, we've got a new label created by the French government, which is dedicated to major sporting events. And as of today, all the major sporting events at the international level will have to mobilize resources to ensure that women have a greater space in sport. That is also a legacy of Paris 2024. Another priority of our endowment fund for inclusion through sport. And we are supporting a number of projects which are leading sporting activities for persons suffering from a handicap. We've got an inclusive club project, and we've been experimenting in the city of Paris, and we have used an impact study to measure the results of this, and we've convinced the government to deal with or provide these clubs with subsidies. The last example in my presentation, the positive impact which was visible in Seine-Saint-Denis. We've chosen this region, which is a young region, but perhaps one of the poorest regions, which was the area which was to benefit directly from the games. About 10% of our tenders were won by companies in Seine-Saint-Denis. These are direct economic benefits for the region. We've also contributed to ensuring that Seine-Saint-Denis could perhaps catch up with the rest of France, which is in terms of the number of swimming pools compared with the population. In 2021, we were the 123rd position of all the departments, but thanks to CAA, thanks to 18 swimming pools that have been created, the 6 cities which act as host have been able to catch up and are going to be in the national average. Furthermore, the games have also allowed us to make up for the delay in getting people to know how to swim. There is a 1-2-3 swim project, which means that a lot of children who weren't able to leave on holiday, 35,000 children were able to learn to swim. So that is a very positive, very concrete legacy, and that is already visible for all the 2024 generation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marie. President, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say thank you to you. Thank you to the whole Olympic family for having supported us over the last few years. We've had the mobilization of the international federations, the NOCs, all the key actors who have contributed to the success of these games. Pierre-Olivier Beckers and his coordination committee have also played an important role, and we've worked closely with the IOC, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for your precious support. I'd also like to say thank you to the French state and the President of the Republic, the Minister of Sports, and also the whole of the government, the prefects of the police, and the prefect of the region, as well as Mr. Cadeau, and a word for Martin Fourcade, who chaired the Athletes Commission for Paris 2024, and on all the subjects he has supported us to ensure the success of the game. We've had an Athletes Commission which has been extremely active. And to finish off, let me just say something about the Tour de France. You know, the cycle race in France. It's just finished. And we know that the Tour de France can be won in 1 or 2 stages, but it can also be lost every day, which means that you have to remain concentrated right up to the last day to make sure that we will be successful. Thank you, and have a good Games.
Et maintenant, merci, mes chers amis, et merci pour le dernier
Thank you,
message.
dear friends. Thank you for that last message.
J'ai entendu encore une autre fois.
I think you have relayed that message on a couple of occasions already. So, the president of the Coordination Commission, our friend Pierre-Olivier Beckers.
Monsieur Beckers, vous avez la parole.
Over to you, Mr. Beckers.
Monsieur le Président,
President, dear members of the IOC, dear Tony, dear Etienne, and the whole team, thank you very much for those energetic presentations, even though there were no slides to accompany them, but those very detailed reports were very useful for us. Of course, we're very happy to be here in Paris with you. The city, the venues are fantastic, and as you have said, the village is absolutely extraordinary. Particularly if you've seen it, you will know this. Competitions will start in areas which people never thought could accompany them, in the Gardens of Versailles, at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, in Seine-Saint-Denis. We are happy to see the celebrations throughout the city, throughout the different regions, throughout France. Sport comes to the population in the places where they live.
Dear team of Paris 2024, all eyes are on Paris. This is your moment to shine. These are the games we have been waiting for so long. As the Coordination Commission, we personally have had the privilege of accompanying this project for the past 7 years. We all remember hearing of the grand plans and ambitions of the organizing committee, of Tony continually promising to break the habits, casser les codes. Well, Paris, while it is only in 20 days that we will be able to define the success, for sure, we know already now that these games are paving a new way for the future. Dear members of the session, dear colleagues, dear friends, in my very first report to the session in early 2018 in Pyeongchang, I said, together we have the opportunity to bring to reality a new model for the Olympic and Paralympic Games, which, if successful, will become a new inflection point in the history of the Games and which will be inspiring, not only for the Olympic movement, but also for the populations around the world and for the future candidate cities. Olympic Agenda 2020 called on all of us to redefine the purpose of the Games, their content, and the way we deliver them. The vision, created back in 2018, outlined the organizing committee's ambition to awaken the athletes within each one of us and to hold spectacular, urban, sustainable, responsible, and useful games for the benefit of all. The dream of Paris 2024 was to contribute to a fitter, more socially responsible society, inspired by sport through a wide engagement with the population at large. This vision has provided the foundation for so many of the innovative and exciting projects linked to these games. Indeed, Paris 2024 has strongly innovated and has challenged, as Tony promised, the established boundaries and past practices. But Paris 2024 has not worked alone, and Tony just reminded us of that. One of the goals of Agenda 2020 was also to bring a reality of co-creation, was to foster cooperation between all stakeholders and delivery partners to a level never attained before. This concept of co-creation has been alive, and it has been alive from day one to this very day, and is, in my opinion, one of the key success factors behind the realization of the many ideas of the organizing committee. The role of the Coordination Commission was also to guarantee that the ambitious vision of Paris 2024, delivered in Lima in 2017, would be maintained. Well, dear members, dear friends, I can confirm to all of you that this vision is intact. Some elements changed. A few ideas disappeared. But many, many new ideas came on board to strengthen the original vision. Olympic Agenda 2020 set the framework for Paris 2024. It allowed the exploration of different models of delivery, of seeking optimizations to right-size the service levels, and to adapt to the realities of the host city and the country. In consultation with the Coordination Commission, Paris 2024 was able to propose service levels which were more adapted to their budgetary and operational realities, while, and that was important to all of us, not sacrificing athlete experience. The new approach inevitably led to adaptations compared to the past. So, thank you sincerely to all of you, many in this room, in the Olympic movement, who showed flexibility and have embraced these changes. This is how we will keep driving our movement forward. And Paris has certainly been trailblazing in this regard. For example, through the event delivery model, Paris 2024 was able to benefit from the experience already existing in the French market and the international federations to assist with the delivery of venues and sport competition. The Olympic Village, I mentioned it, here in Paris looks magnificent. The feedback from the athletes has been just outstanding, in fact. And this is the result of collaborative discussions with the IOC and NOCs from as far back as 2019. Paris 2024 was able to optimize on this basis the village, both in terms of operational dates and in terms of space usage. Its environmental commitment is also to the highest standard, and you just heard Paris 2024 make comments on that. And so ensuring through that a legacy housing solution in the village which will stand the test of time. The fitting of the games to the city, so important, meant that 95% of the venues you will see over the next few weeks are either existing or temporary. This not only has allowed for spectacular sites, of course, in the city, iconic in itself, in the heart of the city, but also meant less construction, allowing the organizing committee to focus on other priorities. Paris 2024 has manifested Agenda 2020 goals also in terms of inclusion, gender equality, and sustainability as well. There have been great efforts toward ensuring environmental excellence. I can confirm it. Cleaning the River Seine for Parisians to swim in from 2025 is, of course, the headline project. But all the other efforts to keep the carbon footprint low and to limit the impact on the environment, for example, which you will experience through the venues by limiting single-use plastics, well, all of the efforts speak to games which are more respectful of the environment. As you walk around or take the subway, the metro, over the coming days, you will see the stations, the streets and buildings decorated with the vibrant colors of the Paris 2024 look. You will see posters explaining to locals how to anticipate the games, an engagement and information campaign which has been running for many months now. You will see messages promoting responsible behavior towards the environment, with humor, in fact. You will probably also notice the message, thank you, to the partners of the Olympic movement and the Games of Paris 2024. There's even one, I think, on the outside of this convention center. In my visit to the venues over the course of the last week and a half now, well, I have seen a lot of security. Etienne Taubois mentioned this. Well, we might feel sometimes that it's a constraint to all of us in our mobility and speed through the venues. But I trust that you will understand these constraints. That's the price to pay for enjoying the peaceful games that we all want to enjoy. But during those visits, I certainly also felt the energy and the enthusiasm, and yes, sometimes the frustration of and the stress of final phases of preparations. There are still many details in the last weeks and days, but that's normal. I'm very confident because I have been impressed with the quality of the teams in the venues. Everyone is committed to ensuring that finishing touches are implemented, that the venues are and will be in the best possible conditions to host the athletes, the spectators, the press, the broadcaster, to host the world. And this full focus mindset is crucial, of course, because let us not be mistaken, the job is not finished. Dear Paris 2024, it is the next 20 days that will confirm the dreams, the vision, the innovations. The hard work of the past 7 years will crystallize in the coming moments and days. And then I hope that all of us together we can say that these were the games of a new era. In just 3 days, we will experience an opening ceremony which will be audacious, both in terms of its creativity and the complexity of its operations. The staging of the ceremony inside the city, in the heart of the city, is the purest expression of the slogan, Games Wide Open. Let me conclude by expressing my most sincere appreciation. It was done, but I want to repeat those words to a lot of people. Of course, to start with my fellow members of the Coordination Commission and all of the IOC administration. Dear friends, your energy, your support and dedication have been fantastic. Je voudrais également, et je terminerai en français,
I will finish off in French. I also wanted to say thank you to all the representatives of the authorities in France. Since the very first day, they have provided 100% support and total commitment. And to you, Tony, and to you, Etienne, and your teams in Paris 2024, the truth of the matter is that it is we who should be thanking you. Thank you for having thought things differently. Thank you for having taken up new challenges, to push limits, to have come up with new ideas, new concepts. Thank you for having kept the course right up to the games, to have shown the resilience to overcome the economic shock, the pandemic, and to having shown courage and a willingness to fight. Thank you very much for having welcomed us here in Paris and in other parts of France. There are 20 days to go, and you mustn't drop your guard. We can succeed, but we must work together. Tony, I hope that these 20 days won't only give you grey years, but rather that you will have lots of stars in your eyes over the next 20 days and will allow you to accomplish the wildest dreams. With your teams, you have dared, you have invented, you have succeeded. Thank you very much. This concludes my report. Thank you very much, President.
Merci, Monsieur Pekars. Et maintenant, j'ouvre la session des questions et réponses. Prince Albert, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'aimerais remercier et féliciter, bien sûr, nos amis de Paris 2024 pour cette présentation. Remercier la commission de coordination, bien sûr, Monsieur Pierre-Olivier Beckers, notre collègue et ami. J'aimerais, ça ne vous étonnera pas, mais en tant que président de la commission durabilité et héritage, vous remercier et vous féliciter pour le travail extraordinaire qui a été accompli dans la préparation de ces Jeux, du point de vue, bien sûr, durabilité, héritage, mais pas seulement, du point de vue de la responsabilité sociale, de l'inclusion, de tous les aspects que vous avez présentés et qui entrent en jeu. C'est un travail tout à fait remarquable et je suis sûr qu'il servira bien sûr j'allais employer un mot anglais de benchmark, mais de base pour les.
It will serve as a benchmark for the future candidacies.
Bien sûr, j'aimerais aussi.
Of course, I too would like to say thank you and congratulate you for the excellent work that you've always shown towards the Commission. And thank you also for this report, the periodic report that you produce on the development of your activities and all the aspects connected with sustainability. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Marie, and the rest of the team. And I would also like to say that Tony Estanguet is a former member of our commission, and I know that for him it was important to implement not just all of the aspects that we put forward in Agenda 20+5, but also the strategy which was mapped out by the Commission perhaps some 10 years ago. And to see that all this is possible, this has been actually implemented, and I believe it is something for which we can all be satisfied, but I think it is a great example for the future as well. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Prince Albert. Maintenant, je donne la parole
Thank
à
you,
Madame
Prince Albert.
Garadali.
Mrs. Garadali.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, President.
Bonjour tout le monde.
And,
Moi, je voudrais
good morning to you all.
sincèrement remercier
I too would like to thank Madame Sophie Laurent and her team, because I believe that the work that they have done has been extraordinary. They've helped us with the visas, with the accreditation. This is the kind of work you don't see, but we've had to turn to Sophie and her team, and all the delegations managed to get to Paris with their visas. So thank you very much, Sophie, and thank you very much to the Paris 2024 team. Thank you very much, Garidali. I don't see any other questions. So let me say once again, thank you very much to the organizing committee, and in particular, thank you to Tony Estanguet, our friend. Thank you very much for the report that you have given us, and that gives us even more confidence, if that is at all possible, because we've always had full confidence in you and full confidence in these games. I think that there is every reason to believe that we're going to have some unforgettable games. But, and Tony knows what I'm going to say now, we are in sports. And in sport, we are just at the end of the training period. Now is the moment of truth. It's when the championships start. And the championships start for the athletes, and the championships start also for the organizers. And when I speak about organizers here, that also includes us all here, the members of the IOC, not just the organizing committee. We have always been by your side, and rest assured that we will continue to support you, and we will continue to be by your side. And that holds true also during the championships, in other words, during the games. So we have now set the decor, we have set the scene, everything is in place. And as my former coach told me, we've been discussing each of the problems. What happens now is not a problem. So, let's go forward. Here we go, Paris 2024. Thank you very much.
And if
I could ask you just to hold on for a few seconds, we've got a message for you, a message for us as well, from the General Secretary of the United Nations.
Alors?
Is there a problem?
Alors, je suis heureux que nous ne sommes pas responsables pour la cérémonie d'ouverture.
Well, I'm really glad that we're not the ones responsible for the opening ceremony then.
Est-ce qu'on a encore une opportunité de montrer le vidéo?
Is there an opportunity to get the video of the General
Ça
Secretary?
arrive plus tard.
Apparently it's going to reach us later. Perhaps it's a little bit too early for him in New
Merci
York.
beaucoup.
So thank you very much. And
Au boulot, de nouveau.
now we get down to work.
Tony. And dear friends and colleagues, may I propose that we now move to topic 4 of our agenda. This is good governance, and we start, of course, with ethics. And there I would like to invite the chair of our Ethics Commission, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, to present to us the report of the IOC Ethics Commission.
Honorable Dr. Thomas Bach, President of the IOC, distinguished IOC members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. It is a great honor and privilege for me to present the Ethics Commission's oral report on behalf of all the Commission's members. I would like to express my deep appreciation to the members of the IOC Ethics Commission for their commitment to delivering the mandate assigned to us. For detailed information, please refer to the IOC Ethics Commission's written report included in the session documentation and available to the media for transparency. I will highlight only the most important points. It is important to remember that the IOC Ethics Commission has 3 main missions. First, to support the prevention in the view of facilitating compliance with the ethical principles. Second, to recommend decisions to the IOC Executive Board in case of a breach of these ethical principles. And third, to keep the rules and regulations at the highest standards. Prevention of ethical issues, especially through better governance, is a key for the IOC Ethics Commission. The IOC Ethics Commission supported all the Olympics movement stakeholders to increase the level of compliance with the highest standards of good governance by strengthening their level of transparency, checks and balances, and anti-bribery measures. As part of this mission, in 2024, the Ethics and Compliance Office organized and delivered well-attended webinars for nearly 100 organizations focusing on transparency, integrity, checks and balances, and control mechanisms through pragmatic tools. Today, more than ever, sports organizations are measured by their integrity. Therefore, I would like to thank these organizations for actively participating in these initiatives. They are demonstrating their commitment. Since the autumn of 2020, all IOC members and IOC Commission's members periodically complete confidential and secure preventive disclosures of interest. These are regularly reviewed for validity and updates. Thank you for contributing to greater transparency through your disclosures. Support for integrity in sports and efforts to reduce the prevalence of threats to the IOC's credibility is a unique responsibility that the IOC undertakes to contribute to the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. To that end, the IOC leads the International Partnership Against Corruption in Sports, IPACS, to facilitate the dissemination of the culture of good governance in sport at all levels. With the support of government and intergovernmental organizations, in particular, the UN Office on Drugs and Crimes, UNODC, all these prevention missions will continue to be ensured and extended. On the eve of opening of Olympic Games Paris 2024, I'd like to point out that the IOC Ethics and Compliance Team monitors sports betting activities on all the Olympic Games events. As done in the past, this monitoring will be carried out with the support of global sports betting operators, along with betting national authorities and law enforcement entities specialized in this field. This follows a very robust awareness-raising program implemented for the athletes and their entourage during the past years. All these measures will contribute to the efforts towards clean athletes and clean competitions. I would also like to thank the Paris 2024 Organizing Committee, the French Sports Betting Authority, and the French Ministry of Justice for their active support to the setup of the Joint Integrity Unit. The aim of this mechanism is to facilitate the exchange of information during the period of the Olympic Games on any breach of the ethical principles. It is also essential for the IOC as an institution and as a leader of the Olympic movement to take the appropriate decisions when the situation imposes them. This is another mission of the IOC Ethics Commission. Since our last report, the Ethics Commissions discussed in strict confidentiality on a number of situations. On the basis of these deliberations, recommendations were made to and approved by the IOC Executive Board. These recommendations are published on the IOC Ethics Commission's website. You are welcome to refer to it. The third mission of the IOC Ethics Commission is to keep the Code of Ethics and its implementation provisions at the highest standards. As announced during the last session, the directives concerning the election of the IOC president are currently being revised and will be operational by the end of the Olympic Games. Once approved, they will be published on the IOC website and disseminated. These directives, like in the past, will frame up the candidature campaign and clarify the relations between the candidates, IOC members, and the Olympic movement. These relations shall be based on mutual respect between the candidates, respect of the other IOC members, and the IOC itself. As the IOC leads the Olympic movement by example, it will be key for you to strictly adhere to these directives to ensure that the future election process occurs in a fair and respected environment. Distinguished IOC members, Mr. President, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind the position explained in the IOC Executive Board some months ago in relation to the IOC President's decision regarding the election. It is clear that the timing of such a decision may create a high risk of overshadowing in the course of the Olympic Games, as well as the election campaign itself. Therefore, in order to protect this election process, it has been recommended to the IOC President to postpone any such a decision until the end of the Paris Olympic Games. Dear IOC President, dear IOC members, the entire Commission of the Ethics can assure you that it will continue to hold firm positions to protect the integrity of the IOC as it has done in the past within the scope of the application of the IOC Code of Ethics. It will also ensure that the IOC adheres to the highest possible ethical standards. This concludes my presentation to you today, and I thank you for your attention. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this comprehensive and excellent report. Are there questions to the chair of the Ethics Commission? Oh, it was so clear that I don't see any questions. Congratulations on this report, and once more a very warm thank you for all your commitment to ethics and compliance, and for dedicating so much effort on chairing this IOC Ethics Commission, because the work of you as the chairman of this commission and of the entire commission is key and is essential for the credibility of the IOC, and for being able, as you have been putting it in your report, to lead by example when it comes to good governance and ethics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And just for your information, we will have during this session a re-election of one of the members of the IOC Ethics Commission, but this will happen together with all the elections we will have tomorrow afternoon. Therefore, we could now proceed to the next topic under good governance, and this is the Audit Committee. And there I'm inviting again Mr. Pierre-Olivier Beckers as the chair of the Audit Committee to take the floor for his report.
Mr. President, dear members of the session, it is my pleasure to present to you the report of the Audit Committee. I really think you should listen to my report. First of all, because within 10 minutes you will hear and understand a lot more about the IOC than you know at this present minute. Also, you can look forward to the end of my speech because it's the last report I will have to give, and I will not come on this podium anymore. Over the past year, our committee has been diligently working, meeting already 3 times since our session in Mumbai just a few months ago, covering topics ranging from the external audit, the IOC administration, internal audit activities, and other emerging topics such as artificial intelligence and ESG, environment, social, and governance. And today I will provide an overview of our main recent activities and key findings. So first, let us start with external audit activities. In November 2023, we reviewed and approved PwC's audit plan for the IOC's consolidated financial statements for the year 2023. Key areas of focus included deferred revenues and expenses related to these games, internal controls, and IT and data audits. The budgeted audit fees remained at the same level as previous years, so that was pretty good from a savings and management of expenses. And the ratio between audit and non-audit fees was below the target limit of 1, which provides safeguards around the independence of the external auditor. In June 24, PwC presented their audit results, issuing an unqualified, that means a clean audit opinion, on the 2023 consolidated accounts. This was indeed a very smooth audit process, helped by an increase in use of technology to automate parts of the work. And PwC noted continued improvements in our internal control framework, with no material weaknesses identified, and excellent collaboration with management. PwC Madrid highlighted improvements in internal controls as well, and documentation at OBS and OCS. As a result, the Audit Committee unanimously approved the 2023 financial statements and recommended their approval by the Executive Board and subsequently by this session. On IOC administration activities, the Director General has kept us updated on several key priorities, including the preparation for a successful staging of various editions of Olympic Games, and we discussed the future Olympic Winter Games election process. Our Deputy Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer reported on significant improvement in IOC's compliance program, including the so-called THEMIS project, which simplifies policies and enhances staff e-learning. And important work was done for the Olympic Games Paris 2024 activities, also including the joint effort made between the IOC and the Autorité Nationale des Jeux, the authority responsible for the prevention of competition manipulation. Also, work was performed in the support provided to the individual neutral athletes eligibility review panel and the preventive measures to combat corruption in sport with IPACs. The Audit Committee also reviewed the IOC annual risk report for 2023, which highlighted the strategy to mitigate emerging risks, particularly with new risks, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. The Chief Operating Officer has provided essential updates on several critical areas under her responsibility, ensuring continuous improvement and organizational efficiencies across the IOC administration. You have a full account of these elements in my written report, but just to touch on a few. Finance. In finance, our Chief Financial Officer highlighted the IOC's sound financial stability despite global inflation and a strong Swiss franc. Key changes included strong financial performance from the Olympic Foundation's financial assets and treasury management as well as ongoing improvements made to the procurement policy and optimized legal contract tools. On technology and information, our Chief Information and Technology Officer reported on a new organizational structure to address the evolving risks. He also talked about the enhanced cybersecurity measures for Paris 2024 and the successful preparations for future events like Milano Cortina and LA 28. The technology and information strategy was also presented with short, medium, and long-term goals. Legal affairs. The Legal Affairs Director updated us on the WADA anti-doping code revision, intellectual property rights protection for Gangwon 24 a few months ago, the proactive legal management for the Olympic qualifier series in Shanghai over the last several weeks, and the ongoing collaboration with the Olympic Games Paris 24 legal team on French labor law provisions. That was a very important and difficult set of work. There was also work from the Legal Affairs on IP and rights protection program for the Games here in Paris. Human resources. The HR Director presented metrics on headcount, absenteeism, and diversity. The workforce of the IOC now represents 74 nationalities, which is great from a diversity point of view, as compared with only 50 a few years ago. And the attrition rate, people leaving on their own without a particular reason imposed by the organization, the attrition rate is at 6.6% versus 9.3% average, annual average in Switzerland. So also a good metric. Challenges in recruitment and the need for transparency were addressed with improved communication, a review of compensation strategies, and enhanced learning opportunities. Finally, since risks are not only of a financial and accounting nature, the Audit Committee has continued, as in the past, to hold discussions with the directors and heads of other key IOC departments and services on their identification and mitigation of risk in their area of responsibility. Since the last session, the committee has met with the Managing Director of IOC Television and Marketing Services and the Olympic Games Executive Director. Moving now to internal audit activities, our Chief Internal Auditor presented reports on assurance, advisory, and compliance missions. Since our last session, 8 missions were conducted with no major issues identified. The Audit Committee approved the 2024 internal audit plan for the IOC and OBS-OCS, which both were developed using a risk-based approach. I'm pleased to report that the implementation rate for internal audit recommendations following audit missions stands at an excellent 95%. So it means that 95% of the recommendations from the Internal Audit Department have been implemented by the other department and services. And this compares very favorably, 95% is quite high, but it compares favorably with an 88% implementation rate at the end of June 23, just a year ago. As part of its commitment to conduct regular continuous education sessions, in November 23, we invited the PwC partner for internal audit to present the latest global internal audit survey results on emerging megatrends across the globe, such as climate, artificial intelligence, food, a fracturing world, and supply chain disruptions. This is interesting because obviously these are key themes, but these are absolutely themes that we have faced year after year here in the preparation of the Paris 2024 Games. The Audit Committee, after listening to the PwC experts on these global trends, we asked the Chief Internal Auditor of the IOC to compare IOC's current internal audit activities on those themes with the survey findings. And in March 2024, the results and a proposed implementation plan were presented to us, prioritizing areas where internal audit could be more involved in supporting management on those key activities, such as e-sport, artificial intelligence, for instance. Best practice trends in internal audit globally indicate that in the future, internal audit will move from being a bit of a cop, if you will, a police coming after the fact, being a problem solver, to being more an insights generator and trusted advisor by getting involved more and more early on new projects. And that's a trend that we see in internal audit around the world. Coming back to the additional activities of the Audit Committee, you will be happy to know that in November 23, the Audit Committee also conducted a new self-assessment of its performance. It's only right, since we are asking the Executive Board to conduct from time to time self-assessment of its performance, so we do it ourselves on our performance at the Audit Committee. This survey yielded excellent results, 2 areas of attention regarding the time pressure on our executive sessions and the need for continuous education on emerging topics were identified, and we are addressing them. So this makes a perfect transition to the final part of my report, where I wanted to spend a few minutes and elaborate on 2 topics that the IOC consider as fantastic opportunities, and you heard our president yesterday during his speech, but of course topics which bring also new emerging risk landscapes that will require a specific attention within the next few years. The first one is related to artificial intelligence. In June 24, the Audit Committee invited Mrs. Agni Ofanudaki. She's the Associate Professor of Operations Management at Said Business School at the University of Oxford, and our IT Director, Ilario Corna, to discuss the opportunities and risks related to the use of artificial intelligence. And our President highlighted the fact that there are indeed risks and opportunities, but risks with the use of artificial intelligence. So it is important for the Audit Committee that we looked at the IOC AI agenda, and we discussed the various risks with our experts and the potential role of the Audit Committee going forward with respect to the use of AI from, of course, a risk mitigation perspective. Current industry best practices show, for example, that the Audit Committee should scrutinize the alignment of AI with corporate strategy, that's key, evaluate risk management pertaining to the AI applications, and assess the ethical implications and compliance with relevant regulations. So we will focus on these elements in the coming years. The second topic, equally important, relates to the ESG, environment, social and governance. We already had a chance to discuss this topic last year with the Director of Corporate and Sustainable Development, Marie Salois, who gave us an excellent update on the IOC's overall approach to manage sustainable development. A staged development is underway since 2015 through the creation of Sustainability and Legacy Commission, a Gender Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Commission, and an Advisory Committee on Human Rights in 2022. Significant work has been achieved regarding the reduction of emissions in line with the Paris Agreement. Last June, the Audit Committee also invited the PwC partner in charge of ESG to talk about the new Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. So that's CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. And this is a directive, European directive, that requires a number of organizations, all the listed companies on stock exchanges, but many other organizations, to formally report on their sustainability initiatives. And the expert from PwC confirmed that the IOC was not subject to the sustainability reporting requirements under the current standards. However, these, which are subject to change, led us to decide, the IOC to decide that on a voluntary basis, we will be reporting year to year. And that's exactly what we will do starting with this year. So preparations for this reporting go full stream. Consequently, the Audit Committee asked the Chief Internal Auditor to include this important matter, ESG criteria, to his audits whenever and wherever possible. So the Audit Committee will continue to closely monitor the evolution of these 2 trends over the coming years, as they are taking growing importance in our day-to-day strategy and activities. In conclusion, I would like to extend my gratitude to my fellow Audit Committee members, Nicole, Carl, Lingui, Paul, Dagmawit. Thank you so much. Also, my thanks to the IOC administration and our external partners for their unwavering support and collaboration. So thank you for your attention. I will be obviously happy to take any questions you might have. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beckers, for this very good report. And I ask whether there are any questions being left open, or whether you all share the same feeling that with this audit committee we are in the best of hands, ensuring us that we can sleep calmly in the night. Apparently that's the case. Mr. Beckers, to you and your colleagues, really a big thank you. You're one of the hardest, if not the hardest working commission in the IOC with all your many meetings and covering so many topics. But this is for the sake of the credibility of our organization, and therefore a big thank you to you and all your colleagues in the Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, dear friends and colleagues, let's move on to finance. And there I invite the chair of the Finance Commission, our Vice President, Mr. Siam-Yang Eng, to present the report.
Thank you, President. Dear colleagues, we are pleased to present to you the 2023 IOC Annual Report submitted to the IOC session for your approval. As per the Olympic Charter, the subtitle of the report is Engagement and Partnership. The report explains in details our activities in 2023. It also includes the audited consolidated financial statement for 2023, which are being presented to you today. These statements are prepared and audited in accordance with IFRS accounting standards, higher than legally required, in line with the increased transparency and better governance under Olympic Agenda 2020, and that is continuing with Olympic Agenda 2020+5. Despite the inflationary pressures, the worldwide supply disruption, the worsening of international relations linked to increased protectionism and social and political tensions, all impacting on global economic outlook. The Olympic movement's partner and stakeholders have remained steadfast in their support. And thanks to this demonstration of solidarity, the IOC, which is entirely privately funded, continued to distribute 90% of revenue to support the organization of the Olympic Games, the promotion of athletes and sports at all levels worldwide, and the dissemination of the Olympic values. I would like to thank Mr. President for your leadership in steering this ship through such stormy times, as well as IOC EB colleagues and fellow Finance Commission members. The IOC Annual Report 2023 has a structure inspired by 5 key trends that underpin Olympic Agenda 2020+5, which was adopted in March 2021. And these are solidarity, digitalization, sustainable development, credibility, and resilience. Solidarity takes many forms. First, it defines the mission of Olympic Solidarity, which provides assistance to all NOCs, especially those in the greatest need. It also runs through the work of the IOC Athletes Department, keeping athletes at the heart of the Olympic movement. And through IOC's numerous athletes' welfare programs, it helps shape the activities of the Olympic Foundation for Culture and Heritage. And it can be seen most vividly each year during this global celebration of the Olympic Days. Building on the success of the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022, the IOC's use of Olympic digital and social media channels to increase engagement reached new heights in 2023, with record numbers of users interacting on these platforms. The success of the inaugural Olympic Esports Week marked major steps in IOC's efforts to support the development of virtual sports within the Olympic movement and engage with competitive gaming community. The IOC continues to strengthen its governance principles, the integrity of sport, and protecting clean athletes, not least through its constant vigilance against the threats of doping and competition manipulation. In collaboration with our commercial partners, the IOC ensures long-term resilience and stability, supporting the athletes, promoting the Olympic Games and Olympic values, and building a better world through sport. As presented in this annual report, the IOC's risk and assurance system is a core element of its governance model. An effective model helps the IOC to reduce potential risk and take advantage of opportunities while ensuring that it can fulfill its mission and objectives. The IOC follows the international recognized three lines model for risk management, distinguishing three groups with different roles and responsibilities. The first line consists of operational functions that own and manage risk, and which are embedded in IOC's day-to-day activities. The IOC's department ensures risks are identified, reported, evaluated, and responded in a very timely manner. The second line consists of the managerial function that helps build and monitor the first line controls. It provides an oversight function, ensuring that controls, frameworks, policies, and procedures are set up, aligned with IOC's objectives, and implemented throughout the administration. And the third line consists of the independent functions that provide assurance to the organization's governing bodies and the Director General on how effectively the organization assesses and manages its risks. The independence of these functions is critical to guarantee objectivity. In this three lines model, the IOC governance third line comes under the authority of the IOC President, with the Ethics Commission and the Audit Committee. The external audit is also an element of governance structure. In line with the Swiss law, Risk and Internal Control Unit supports the IOC's business function and regularly tests the design and operation effectiveness of the IOC's internal control system. The unit also coordinates an annual control self-assessment campaign, conducts risk assessment campaigns twice a year, and prepares the annual IOC Group Risk Report that is shared with the Audit Committee and the IOC management. The unit's job is to reinforce the governance of IOC processes and to ensure internal and external compliances while addressing continuous performance improvements. The unit manages Speak Out internal reporting line and involves the human resources whenever it's required. In the framework of governance model and internal control, the Operational Excellence Program has continued to deliver improvements and simplifications across the departments through various internal control processes and data management initiatives. The key projects include workflow automation reduction, end-to-end contract approval flow time by 51%, procurement categorization aligned with international standards, integration of our contract and management platform, Ariba, with SAP, increasing automation, eliminating duplication of tasks, and reduce end-to-end processing time, as well as simplify contracting for low-risk procurement contracts. All these initiatives are key drivers for greater efficiency and simplification. Ensuring financial stability through tight monitoring, good governance, and risk management remains a top priority for the administration under the Plan and Budget Committee. Continuous work is done on finding savings, optimization, efficiencies, and synergies. As an additional governance body, the Contribution Approval Panel approves contributions to third parties. As the IOC allocates 90% of its revenue, this means that ensuring responsible distribution is a duty. The IOC administration cost stays within 10% allocated, which is very efficient compared to many international organizations. Thanks to the continuous support of the commercial partners, the IOC is able to distribute 90% of its distributable revenues to support the Olympic Games, the athletes, the international federations, NOCs, the Olympic solidarity programs, and the development of sport around the world. We are on track to distribute $4.6 million a day for the Olympiad 2021 to 2024. This is an increase of 9.5% compared to previous Olympiad, despite the tough economic situation. $3.1 billion goes to support the Olympic Games and allowing athletes to fulfill their Olympic dreams and becoming Olympians. Over the last Olympiad, 2017 to 2020 and 21, the IOC has distributed $1.5 billion to the IFs, NOCs, and Olympic Solidarity. With the successful closing of the Olympic Games Paris 2024, we will be on track to distribute $1.6 billion by the end of this Olympiad. The IOC's mission is to place the athletes at the heart of the Olympic movement. Olympic Solidarity invested over $160 million from its budget in the World and Development Program through scholarships for athletes, teams, coaches, sports administrators, plus development of sports infrastructure and training system for sports on the Olympic program. The new Olympic Solidarity Coordinating Budget for 2025 to 2028 will be increased by 10% to $650 million to continue supporting the athletes and their NOCs. We will also ensure that more opportunities and Olympic scholarships are available to athletes, with the budget for Athlete Support Program increasing by 16%. The Olympic movement spends a total of $370 million in an Olympiad on anti-doping. The IOC's contribution enables the operation of WADA, ITA, and doping control during and after the Games. The IOC has secured a fund of $10 million for the ITA for the 2025 to 2028 Olympiad. In addition, the IOC has announced 2 additional funds of $10 million each for the prevention of competition manipulation and for safeguarding, to strengthen the prevention of and respond to harassment and abuse in sport at the local level. Our commercial partners are hugely energized by the Olympic Games Paris 2024. They are looking forward to experiencing an edition of games that will bring back the unique festive atmosphere of global celebration, both in and outside the venues. This is reflected in the fact that our partners are launching more Olympic promotions and inviting more guests and executives than ever before. Their support and expertise have helped to make these games wide open, and their activities will ensure that the unique atmosphere comes alive across the city during the Games. Our top partners are also delivering benefits to the athletes through initiatives such as Alliance Buddy Program, Airbnb Athlete Travel Grants, Visa Financial Fitness Learning Courses, Samsung Special Edition Mobiles, and P&G Athletes for Good Program. Our media rights holders are crucial in supporting our Olympic Charter commitment to ensure the widest possible audience for the Games. And we have seen tremendous promotions from our broadcast partners in the run-up to Paris 2024. As our President has said during his session opening ceremony speech, for the next Olympiad, we have secured $7.3 billion to date. Beyond that, for the Olympiad 2029 to 2032, we have already secured $6.2 billion, with more in the pipeline. The IOC's successful commercial program enables us to continue to increase our support for the success of the Olympic Games, the athletes, and the Olympic movement. It provides financial security and stability for the Olympic movement. Dear colleagues, from this position of strength and stability, we have every reason to be confident about our long-term financial future. Even if changes will happen, this makes us stronger. I would like to assure you that thanks to the support of our financial partners, we will continue to pursue our mission to make the world a better place through sport. Beyond financial support, our partnerships have been critical to enable delivery of a broad range of Agenda 2020+5 recommendations. In particular, across digital transformation, sustainability, and equality, supporting the financial, fiscal, and mental well-being of athletes of Olympic teams throughout the world. We will continue to utilize the expertise of our partners as we progress our change agenda to support athletes, the Games, and the movement as a whole. For example, through the implementation of Olympic AI agenda. The 2023 IOC financial statements consolidate the result of all activities of IOC entities presented here. As in previous years, in the interest of good governance and transparency, these accounts were prepared in accordance with IFRS standards, which are higher than legally required. We are continuing our journey towards operational excellence, which started with Olympic Agenda 2020, to ensure the highest standards across all our entities. Olympic Agenda 2020+5 remains the priority and guides in terms of good governance, internal control, and operation excellence. I wish here to commend the work of the administration and the IOC Finance Department, in particular, for their efforts in closing these accounts. This was done in full compliance with the highest level of internal governance and as recognized by the Audit Committee and the External Auditor. The Finance Commission, the Audit Committee, and the IOC Executive Board unanimously pre-approved the 2023 consolidated financial statement following the positive audit result and unqualified statements issued by PwC. A big thank you to our external auditor for their work. As you can see in the IOC 2023 consolidated financial statements, the IOC maintained a healthy and strong financial position with total assets of $6.5 billion as at 31st December 2023. The total cash and other financial assets included in both current and non-current assets total $5.9 billion, representing 91% of total assets. The liability of $2.7 are more than fully recovered by the current assets, illustrating IOC's overall financial health and long-term sustainability. The IOC fund balances stood at $3.8 billion, or 59% of its total financial position. Let me also take you through our strong financial performance, which has allowed us to continue our mission. The IOC recognized $0.9 billion, or 900 million, in total revenue, mostly from top program marketing rights. And as 2023 was a non-Olympic Games year, and so no television broadcasting rights were recognized. The sustained effort enabled us to support the whole Olympic movement. $400 million were distributed to athletes and the Olympic stakeholders for the development of sport worldwide, the NOC, Olympic Solidarity, IF, and OCOGs. Costs related to the Olympic Games and Youth Olympic Games, grants, contributions, Olympic Solidarity Program, and special projects total $208 million. And in line with the 2022 figure, the IOC distributed $165 million for the promotion of the Olympic movement. Operating expenditure was $185 million, a slight increase compared to 2022, but below the 2021 figure, despite rising inflation and the Swiss franc's strength against the US dollars. This was made possible thanks to the IOC administration's efforts to prioritize each initiative and drive cost efficiencies. For the third year in a row, the results of the year has an excess of revenue over expenditure by $201 million for 2023. While there have been significant movement in the financial markets since the beginning of the year, first of all major equity markets have produced positive double-digit performances. Europe and US have evolved in parallel, while the Japanese export industries are still benefiting from the extreme weakness of the yen. Emerging markets are lagging behind, penalized by the strength of the US dollars or by specific domestic issues, for example, the real estate market in China. Where interest rates are concerned, the higher for longer theme, with a 2-year and 10-year Treasury yield close to 5% or 4.5% respectively, are hurting bond portfolio valuations Inflation rates falling more slowly than expected have prompted many central banks to delay their first interest rate cut. This has also had an impact on the strength of the US dollars, as the delay mainly applies to the Federal Reserve, which was expecting to cut rates first, will follow by a few more. As at the end of May, the dollar index had gained more than 3%. The graph on the left of this slide shows that asset allocation of $3.3 billion of combined assets from the IOC, TMS, top program, and Olympic Solidarity portfolios. It reflects the short-term oriented investment and treasury portfolio, with 26% invested in bond with an average maturity of less than 3 years, and the rest invested in short-term instruments, essentially money market funds representing over $2 billion, offering some protection against higher interest rates. The graph on the right includes a $1.2 billion of assets under the Olympic Foundation, which are invested in a more diverse portfolio, and therefore you see the additional categories of equities as well as real estate. These two asset classes, together with alternative investment, account for roughly $500 million, or 11% of the accumulated assets. This slide here shows the performance of the Olympic Foundation since 2002, excluding cash inflow and outflows. Through the portfolio's performance and transfer from the IOC over the years, the Olympic Foundation's financial asset now stands at $1.2 billion. Cumulated performances is over 130%, or an average yearly net performance of 3.85%. And for the performance of 23, it was well above 6.85%, thanks to the positive evolution of most asset classes. This positive performance has been achieved over the year thanks to conservative asset allocation and careful diversification in asset classes, as well as investment policies. And since 2015, the foreign currency exposure has been restricted in order to contain the volatility linked to currencies against the US dollars. And this portfolio is monitored on a monthly basis by the Treasury Committee. The investment of the Olympic Foundation's assets follow limits set by asset management policies, which is reviewed every 2 years and approved by the Executive Board. With your permission, Mr. President, I will now give the floor to Mr. Travis Randolph from PwC, the IOC's independent auditor, to present to you the results of the IOC Financial Statements 2023. Mr. Randolph, please.
Super. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Mr. President and members of the International Olympic Committee. I'd like to just give a few words on the work of PwC as your external auditor. Firstly, I'd like to thank the IOC Financial Department, as well as the management, for their help in this year's closing. The PwC team was able to work closely with the IOC management to ensure all of the financial reporting and accounting considerations have been properly captured in the financial statements. And as a consequence, we were able to execute our audit basically to plan and without issue. Naturally, this year's audit focused on the pre-games accounting considerations, as well as looking at any impact of any changes that may happen in the system of internal control. So our review of these controls would have included both the manual processes as well as the IT functionality. And personally, I find the IOC system of internal control to be of a very high maturity. We were successful in completing our work, and as the group engagement leader responsible for the IOC, I'd like to just comment on two aspects of the audit opinions you would have received in the overall annual report. The first is the consolidated financial statements have been determined to give a true and fair view under international financial reporting standards, or IFRS, as we call it for short. Furthermore, the consolidated and statutory standalone financial statements both comply with Swiss law as well as with the Olympic Charter. Secondly, we confirmed in our report that the system of internal control basically complies with the instructions of the Executive Board without any issue. And so it's with these two confirmations that we do recommend that the sessions approves the statutory and consolidated financial statements, which are being presented here to you today. And with these recommendations, Mr. President, I've concluded my remarks as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eng, so far already, and Mr. Randolph. Are there questions to the report by the Finance Commission or to our auditors? No. Everybody appears to be a little bit overwhelmed by the many good numbers you were giving there. There are no questions. Then I hand back to you, Mr. Eng, for presenting the decision proposals, please.
Thank you, President. We are submitting for your approval the IOC Annual Report 2023. The 2023 IOC Consolidated IFRS Financial Statement and Swiss Statutory Financial Statements.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eng. Then we can proceed with the vote. Who is in favor of this decision proposal as presented by Mr. Eng? Please raise your hand. You have to raise it very high, please, because from here we can hardly see you. Okay, I see at least a majority, but to be very sure, thank you for the ones in favor. Can I have the no votes, if any? Then raise your hand even higher. I don't see a no vote. Is this correct? Okay, and then abstentions, even if they don't count, but I see no abstentions. Is this correct? Then thank you very much. Then this decision proposal by the Finance Commission presented by Mr. Eng has been unanimously approved. Congratulations, Mr. Eng, for this result. But congratulations and thank you very much for all the great work that the Finance Commission is doing together with our Finance Department to be able to present us there a report about the 23 statements, which is extremely clear and is approved there also by our public auditors, and that the management consider to be of high maturity, as we have just heard, but also and maybe even more for giving us this very, very encouraging financial outlook for the next Olympiad and even beyond. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you, President. I will also be asking for this session to approve the reappointment of PwC as IOC Statutory Auditor for 2024, as per terms of the request for proposal for external audit services.
Oh, okay. I thought so. I praised you way too early. Wait now for this result. I would need to ask again to raise your hands for the ones who are in favor. Thank you. Anybody against? I don't see any no votes, correct? Thank you. Abstentions? I also don't see any abstentions, correct? Thank you. This was the last proposal?
Thank you, President. And thank you, dear colleagues.
Then finally, congratulations. And with this, we could now move on to our topic 7. Please, this is the reports on the activities of the IOC commissions. We have here the first chunk of written reports, so we follow the traditional procedure. I will ask you whether you have any question to the individual report, which, of course, you have all studied very carefully. Athletes Commission, chaired by Mrs. Emma Terho. Are there any questions? No? Thank you and congratulations, Mrs. Terho. Athletes Entourage, chaired by Mr. Sergei Bubka. Are there questions? No? Thank you and congratulations, Mr. Bubka. Culture and Olympic Heritage, Mrs. Kunying Patama Lesvantakul. Are there questions? No, also this report very clear. Congratulations, Mrs. Lesvantakul. Future host commission for the Games of the Olympiad, chaired by Mrs. Kolinda Grabar-Kitarovic. Are there questions? No? Congratulations and get ready for some hard work, Mrs. Grabar-Kitarovic. But it's a good way to have hard work with so many interested parties. Games Optimization Group, chaired by Mrs. Kirsty Coventry. Are there questions? No? Then congratulations, Mrs. Coventry. The Gender Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Commission, chaired by Mrs. Lydia Nsekera. Are there questions? No? Then also congratulations to you, Mrs. Nsekera. The Advisory Committee on Human Rights, chaired by Mrs. Phumzile Mhlabonguka. Are there questions? No? She will join us a little bit later, but in this way, already thank you for the work and congratulations. Medical and Scientific, chaired by Professor Ur Adener. Are there questions? Then congratulations and a good recovery from your injury there. I hope that the expertise you gathered in your injury prevention congresses can help you. Olympic Education, chaired by Mrs. Michaela Kochuango-Jaworski. Questions? No? Then congratulations. Here she is. Olympism 365, chaired by Mrs. Auvita Rapila. Are there questions? No? Where is Mrs. Rapila? Here. Congratulations and thank you very much. Public Affairs and Corporate Communication, Mr. Luis Alberto Moreno is the chair. There was quite some work to do for this commission, but the report appears to be very clear and comprehensive. Thank you very much and congratulations, Mr. Moreno. Revenue and Commercial Partnerships, Mr. Jiří Kejval. Also no questions. Then thank you, Mr. Kejval. Sustainability and Legacy, chaired by Prince Albert. There are questions? No. Thank you very much, Prince Albert, and congratulations for the great work you had already also the opportunity to highlight today when our Paris friends were here with us. Technology and Technical Innovation, chaired by Mr. Gerardo Wertheim. There questions? No, then thank you, Mr. Wertheim, and congratulations. Digital engagement and marketing communications. There we have a report, and the chair, Mrs. Danka Patekova, can unfortunately not be with us, but she has the very best of excuses you have as an IOC member, if not the only truly valid excuse not to be with us, but this she can explain to you herself on the video, I hope, which this time will work.
Thank you, President. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sending hi from the shooting range in Châteauroux, the place where the shooting competitions will take place in a couple of days. The digital transformation is huge. Many crucial initiatives of the IOC are already on its way and show their big impact. All this is happening to keep the Olympic brand relevant now and for the future. I'm delighted to say that the team around Yanis Exarchos and Leandro La Rosa can once more share with you great success stories and examples, proven by the facts, by the numbers. But this is all thanks to you, to your vision and the one of our president. At the IOC session 4 years ago in Lausanne, you endorsed the basis of what the numbers are telling us today. The Olympic Channel operations started in 2016. The scope has drastically expanded since. Today, we have consolidation of all Olympic digital, social media, and marketing communication channel on a large scale. To use the language of my sport, I love targets, but this team is shooting at those targets, and every time they seem to break new records. This was the case in Tokyo, it was the case in Beijing, and my strong guess is that it might be the case in Paris again. The positive side of this, that it's not only beneficial for the IOC, but it directly benefits us athletes, international federations, national Olympic committees, the organizing committees of the Olympic Games, and also our top partners. We can prove that we are reaching to the younger audiences, but it's an ongoing process. We need to be evolving and adapting to the fast-changing digital world. Before you have a look at what the team has put together for you, let me thank all of you for your ongoing support. Yanis, Leandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Danka, and we keep our fingers crossed for her and her Olympic competition. And now the digital twins, even if they do not look like really, but here they are, Yanis Exarchos and Leandro La Rosa.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, Duncan. Good luck. Dear Mr. President, dear IOC members, ladies and gentlemen, the main objective of the IOC digital strategy is to promote athletes and sports by growing digital engagement around the world during and between the Olympic Games. We want more people spending more time, more often on our platforms, because we believe this is the most effective way to increase the value of the Olympic brand and of our whole digital ecosystem for the benefit of all of our stakeholders. As we mentioned in the previous session, we had surpassed the target set for both Tokyo and Beijing. Now let's see what we did more recently. During the last 12 months, we have been repeatedly reaching an audience of 8 to 10 million unique users every month. This means that we are already meeting the target set out in the digital strategy for 2026. This is achieved 3 years ahead of the plan. As you can see, the level of the current audience reach is exceeding expectations, and it's currently more than 2 times the one in 21, which was also an Olympic year. That means we are going into the Games of Paris with more than 2 times the audience we had going into Tokyo. Notably, 40% of the audience is younger than 34 years old, while women represent 34% of the fans visiting the site. Olympics.com has grown to be one of the largest digital platforms among sports organizations. Here is how it stands in the wider sports landscape. We see here how Olympics.com performance compares to the average of the top 10 performing platforms of international federations, the top 3 football clubs, and the 4 biggest commercial leagues during the last quarter. This outstanding performance fuels an unparalleled exposure of sports across the world. It amplifies the athlete's image and voice and allows international federations to reach new audiences for their sports. As you see here, Olympics.com more than doubles the audience and exposure of sports without taking anything away from the platforms of the other sports organizations. One of the most valuable pillars of the digital strategy, both for the IOC and all our partners, is acquiring and using first-party data in order to create more engaging relationships with Olympic fans. As you can see in this graph, we're on track to exceed our data acquisition targets and therefore the value for our organization and for our partners. As Leandro will explain, the same positive trends are also evident for our social media activations.
Thank you, Yanis. Dear President, dear members, in addition to our own platform growth, our social media channels play an important role to grow engagement and the Olympic brand relevance with our audiences. 3 years ago, just before Tokyo 2020, we consolidated all our social media activities under @Olympics. What you see here is the performance of social media in the last 2 years. Since records are made to be broken, I'm happy to announce that last June, we broke our own monthly social media engagement record, reaching 1.1 billion social media engagement. With this level of engagement and capabilities, we are able to deliver even more value to our partners and stakeholders. And if we compare the first half of 2021, just before Olympic Games in Tokyo, our engagement in 2024 are 3 times higher in social media. Our goal is to start the Games from a higher baseline to create even higher level of engagements during Games time. Why is this so high? The data tells us that this unprecedented level of engagement comes from the promotion of the Road to Paris 2024, such as the Torch Relay, the launch of the web and app, the Olympic eSport Week in Singapore, the Let's Move campaign, Street Challenge, Olympic Day, and the Refugee Olympic Team, and many others. During the last 2 years, we promoted the Olympic qualifier season, creating content for more than 400 Olympic qualifier events organized by their respective international federations. We created more than 11,000 athlete stories, 170 live broadcastings, and more than 8,000 social media posts, leading to more than 600 million engagements. All this benefits the IF, the athletes, and the National Olympic Committees. The qualifier season for some of those urban sports ended up with 2 Olympic qualifier series events owned by the IOC that took place in Shanghai and Budapest, creating a vibrant atmosphere in these 2 cities. Preliminary results shows the power of the Olympic brand. That played a key role increasing the visibility and engagement for all 4 sports in the lead up to Paris 2024. The OQS event, featuring the Olympic brand, generated higher engagement than the sum of individual previous qualifiers events in each sport. In 2023, we developed the Let's Move campaign together with the World Health Organization and athletes to inspire people to move, creating outstanding level of engagement worldwide. So this year, 2024, we partnered again with the WHO. This time, we invited people to move for the athletes and support the road to Paris 2024.
Let's move!
We are only hours away from the start of competition of Paris 2024, so let's see what we are doing for the Games. We are targeting to exceed 200 million unique users on our website and on our app. And we want to acquire data from more than 25 million Olympic fans. On our social media handles, we aim to reach more than 129 million followers and have more than 7.3 billion engagements. The digital experience for Paris 2024 is the most sophisticated product we have ever launched. It was built on innovation, audience insights, content diversification, new features, and technical improvements. Those include localized experience in different parts of the world. This is achievement on information from real-time data processed through artificial intelligence. Personalized competition schedules, results and medals, round-the-clock live blog, a games map, features and information for the spectators, augmented reality, innovative promotion for all our top partners. And last but not least, enhanced Where to Watch feature to drive audiences to our media rights holders. Athletes are at the heart of what we do, and our content has one goal: to strengthen the connections between the fans and athletes as they celebrate the joy of sport. We'll do this with localized coverage in 11 languages, live blogs and highlights. Our storytelling is rooted in community, defined by inclusivity, and driven to give fans everything they need to know to truly savor Paris 2024. We're inspired by the intersection of sports and culture, where a new generation is ready to leave its mark. After the success of the Redeem team, we're also extending our storytelling to the major streaming platforms and reaching new audiences. We are in ongoing production of 3 documentaries. You can already watch the first episodes of Sprint and Simone Rises Again, and we will continue filming the stories of these iconic athletes during the Games here in Paris. No matter the content, Paris in all its glory will shine. This is especially spotlighted in La Grande Seine.
And this is what Paris should look like.
The largest ever Olympic ceremony.
The biggest TV show that has ever been produced.
The social media operation is a 24/7 one. More than 25,000 social media posts are planned to be spread across 40 different handles in 9 different languages. But our team is not only in Paris, but in many locations around the world in order to bring the excitement of the games to people in their own words, regardless where they are. The content categories include live coverage in some specific markets, medal and records alerts, co-branded content with our tops, human storytelling about the athletes, obviously the Parisian culture, key daily moments, and bespoke local content and collaborations with content creators. Thanks to our large database of users that Yanis highlighted earlier, we can reach them through personalized emails, mobile push notifications, and the right content based on their own preferences during games time. As we continue to grow engagement and insights on Olympic fans across our digital platforms, we continue our efforts to create value. Value for our top partners through meaningful opportunities to connect and build their own brand with our engaged audiences, and value for the Olympic fans by bringing them new and innovative content and experiences thanks to our Olympic partners. You can see here some of the examples of the work with our tops, such as amplification of their own campaigns, branded content that integrates their messaging, testing and learning of new initiatives, ambitious first digital, fully co-created ideas and activations that are designed to bring people together through culture and passion points. We are very proud to be working closer than ever to our partners on these collaborations as we aim to achieve Olympic success together. Sport and more than sport is our new brand positioning for the Olympics. It expresses the diversity of the Olympic experience and everything sport and the Olympic Games bring to people, both on and off the field of play. It shows the magic and the meaning of sports beyond performance, the human connection, the dreams, and personal power of growth. It aims to bring the Olympics close to the heart and lives of people everywhere by celebrating the joy of sports.
There's an air of anxious excitement in Paris today. The Olympic Games are back after 100 years.
Sometimes, there's something mysterious in the air. Something magical. An intangible force you cannot see, but can certainly feel. Some call it Olympic spirit. They say it's been around since the dawn of time. And it knows no bounds and no borders. Some say it's contagious. Others say it'll push your body and mind to the limit. If you ever felt it, you already know. If not, don't worry. It's coming to you. Get ready for incredible Olympic Games Paris 2024. Action starts on Friday, July 26th. Olympics, sport, and more than sport.
Thank you very much. Dear President, dear members, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. Are there questions or comments? This is what we were talking about yesterday at the opening of the session. That's the new digital age. And there you could see how much they expect us to digest in how little time of information. Mr. Mejía Oviedo.
En español.
Por favor.
I'm going to speak in Spanish. Thank you very much. I just wanted to take this opportunity just to be able to congratulate the decision taken in the Commission and shown in this report. I think that it has been decided to treble the amount of work that is being done by the Commission, that is to say the Digital Commission. Today, to be able to hold the games here in the hand on your mobile phone has been one of the most important steps that we have taken in the whole organization process. And listening to the report that we've just been presented with, we've seen that we've had a trebling in the number of the efforts to get out to the public and especially to have an outreach to the youth. Now, this is important because in our countries we can take advantage of a new Olympic channel with easier access. And this is important for our regional organizations too. And this channel provides coverage, and all of the things that we've asked for has been now facilitated. So I think that we should be consistent in our approach, and we should continue to recognize the importance of ensuring that the International Olympic movement can continue to keep its high values alive, which are the Olympic Games. This has to be put into the hands of all, and in particular in the hands of young people, and also in the hands of those countries which are further away. So congratulations to you on this excellent job of work. Thank you, Mr. Mejia Oviedo. Thank you very much for your important words.
Are there other questions? No, then our two Spanish-speaking friends will find it easy to respond and to thank Mr. Mejia Oviedo.
Señor Mejia Oviedo, muchísimas gracias por sus...
So thank you very much for your very kind words. And thank you also for the constant support you have provided us with.
You also speak on behalf of Mr. La Rosa, I think. So thank you very much, and congratulations. What we have seen here is overwhelmingly, I must say, positive. In particular, considering where we started and when we started this journey. When you see now the reach we have achieved, the data acquired, the followers interacting, it's really overwhelming, and I can only suggest to each and everybody of you to follow up on this report a little bit in your files, because there are so many good news, even excellent news, but there are also so many examples for the potential that we still have and which we are starting to address now, in particular with Paris and in Paris. So congratulations for bringing the values across of sport, for bringing the athletes across, and for bringing the emotions of sport across to a wider audience as ever we had in the Olympic movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
With this, dear friends and colleagues, I propose that we are coming back to earth and we go to the legal affairs. And there we have, first of all, the written report of the Legal Affairs Commission. under 7.10 of our agenda, and then under 14 of our agenda we have the amendments to the Olympic Charter. What I suggest to you is that we are combining these two topics, and that the chair of the Legal Commission, Mr. John Coates, is in his oral report just focusing on the amendments to the Olympic Charter, but then when I open the floor to questions, then of course there can be questions being put forward regarding both the written report and the oral report. That's okay for you? Okay, I see excitement in the room about this brilliant proposal, and I give the floor to Mr. Coates.
Thank you, Mr. President, and dear members. The agenda for this meeting, this session, includes an item relating to the modification of the Olympic Charter, and you'll see that at agenda item 14. As you may be aware, these changes were discussed and approved at the IOC Executive Board meeting on the 13th of June, and we're now proposing them to you for approval. The details of the changes and a summary of the supporting reasons are in your documentation, as I said, at agenda 14. If I could take you through some explanations. The first is following a proposal from the IOC Members Election Commission to the Legal Affairs Commission. It's proposed to extend the number from 5 to 10, very closer, I was enjoying that, from 5 to 10 of IOC members for whom the age limit is extended at any time, and in this way ensuring that we have greater continuity in our leadership and work. And indeed, with this change, for the next 10 years, all IOC members reaching the age limit of 70 would be included in consideration, if they wanted to, for election to the Executive Board in the IOC session, to election to the Executive Board. So to move the number who can be extended from 5 to 10. Next matter is we have a register of members, and it's recommended to have a change to be able to separately list suspended IOC members in the up-to-date register kept by the Executive Board. So this includes any of IOC members, honorary president, honorary members and honour members who may be suspended. The next matter was to clarify the quorum determination at the IOC session to specify that the quorum required for a session is half the total membership with voting rights. The next is just some terminologies, replacing the name of the International Swimming Federation, FINA. It's become World Aquatics. And following the decision to the international boxing, the decision of the IOC session on 22nd June to withdraw recognition of the International Boxing Association, we remove reference to the International Boxing Association from the list of recognised IFs. That's by law to Rule 45.1.3.1. Then, aligning with other references throughout the Olympic Charter, in mentioning country of the host, we'd move to mentioning country of the host rather than the host country. This applies only to the English version. And to allow more flexibility with the venue hosting the opening ceremony by replacing the words Olympic Stadium with opening ceremony venue. So that's where we have the opening ceremony. The Olympic Charter amendment to extend the mandate of the President was not formally considered by the Legal Affairs Commission, despite the many requests from the IOC members at the 141st session in Mumbai and afterwards. This is because the IOC Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer recommended not to communicate about any acceptance by the President following the IOC members' requests before the end of these games. And you heard Mr. Ban Ki-moon refer to that in his report today. It would also only make sense to consider such a resolution to amend the Charter if the President were to accept the requests of the IOC members. And as I said in Mumbai, this could be achieved by a circular resolution. We can change the Charter by a circular resolution. This could be achieved before the next session in 2025 in Greece. So, Mr. President, I hand the floor back to you. I'm available to answer questions, and then we'll look at the specific changes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coates. Are there questions to Mr. Coates? Oh, this is a very calm morning there. Okay, no questions. Then can I suggest then that I take it also as your consent that we could vote on this charter amendments en bloc, rather than to have it to go. Monsieur Dru.
Abstention. Je m'abstiens.
De quoi?
I abstain.
Je n'ai pas demandé une vote encore. Alors,
I didn't ask for a vote, so I don't know what you're abstaining on.
Vous abstenez de mes paroles, c'est autre chose.
Perhaps you'd like to abstain from listening to my words. That's a different matter.
Okay, can we proceed en bloc? Okay, then now who is in favor of these amendments to the Olympic Charter as proposed by the Chair of the Legal Commission? Please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Then any no votes? No. And now the abstentions. Monsieur Dru. Merci beaucoup. Since abstentions do not count, unanimously approved, Mr. Coates. Thank you for the proposal, and thank you for the good work of the Legal Commission. To all, not only for all these proposals, but also for all the work which is happening in the background. And this is even the more valuable one, because this prevents us from problems rather than having to solve it here in the session or in the executive board. And I think these things are also going to our legal department. Thank you very much. Then, dear friends and colleagues, we could move on to 7.13, the Olympic Programme Commission. And there I would like to ask the Chair of the Commission, Mr. Karl Stoß, to present the decision proposal of this Commission concerning Olympic Winter Games and the program of Olympic Winter Games. Mr. Stoß, you have the floor.
Dear Mr. President, dear Executive Board members, dear friends and colleagues. I'm delighted to be here today to present on behalf of the Olympic Programme Commission and the IOC Executive Board the proposal on the initial sports programme for the Olympic Winter Games 2030. We are here in Paris 3 days before the opening ceremony and for sure for great summer games. But in our Commission, we are still thinking about the future. That means 5.5 years before the next Winter Games edition after Milano Cortina. We are thinking about 2030. So as you know, the process to determine the sports and events program of a specific edition of Games is outlined in Rule 45 of the Olympic Charter. For the Olympic Winter Games 2030, it includes the following main milestones that you can see on this slide. Determination of the initial sports program at the session electing the relevant host of the Olympic Winter Games. Discipline program review, as well as potential inclusion of any additional new sports between 6 and 4 years prior to the Games. It is worth noting that the discipline review step is new to the winter program timeline and is focused on early determination of the disciplines for each sport in between the approval of the initial sports program and the finalization of the event program and athletes quota. This new intermediate step was piloted for the Olympic Games Los Angeles 2028 and brought significant advantages, including early certainty to discipline-specific athletes and their respective NOCs and IFs, as well as ensured early clarity to the organizing committee on the full venue master plan. You can imagine the benefit this brings to the organizing committee. Considering this, in June 2024, the IOC Executive Board, upon recommendation of the Olympic Programme Commission, approved the inclusion of discipline review step in the timeline and process to determine the Olympic Winter Games 2030 program. And the last but not least step in this process is finalization of the event program and athletes quota no later than 3 years prior to the Games. That means latest in 2026 or 27. The IOC Executive Board at its meeting in June reviewed all 7 winter sports that are listed in the Olympic Charter. In making its proposal and upon recommendation of the Olympic Programme Commission, the IOC Executive Board duly considered Rule 45 of the Olympic Charter, as well as framework outlined by Article 16 of the Host City Contract Principles 2030. It was also noted that all 7 sports that you can see on the slide and which have been part of the Olympic Winter Games program since the Olympic Winter Games in Nagano in 1998, significantly contributed to the success of Beijing 2022, the most engaged Olympic Winter Games ever. In addition, the Olympic Winter Games 2030 interested parties based their candidatures taking into account these existing 7 sports. The inclusion of the sport leaves full flexibility to review associated disciplines, events, and athletes quota within each of those sports. Beyond the existing Games program, there remains an opportunity for an OCOC to propose events in additional sports. The decision to propose new sports is optional, and at the full discretion of the OCOC, it is not an obligation. All things considered, the IOC Executive Board, upon recommendation of the Olympic Program Commission, proposes to the IOC session the inclusion of the following sports that you can see on the slide for the initial sports program for the Olympic Winter Games 2030, namely biathlon, bobsleigh, curling, ice hockey, luge, skating, and skiing. Before I will continue with the key consolidation for the Youth Olympic Games 2026, I pass the floor back to Mr. President.
Thank you very much so far, Mr. Stoß. Are there questions concerning this decision proposal with regard to the program of the Winter Games 2030? No? Can we then vote? Are you ready? Yes, please, hands up. Let's move. Okay, thank you. Any no? Abstentions? No, then this program is unanimously approved. Thank you, Mr. Stoß. And we are coming back to summertime.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your vote. And as part of the Gangwon 2024 debrief, the IOC examined the evolution of the Youth Olympic Games and emphasized the need to deliver games that make sense and better fit in the local, regional, and continental context. This would mean that the Youth Olympic Games could be very different based on various principles, but still very meaningful and successful events in their own right. In light of the above considerations, it was recommended that for the Youth Olympic Games Dakar 2026, the 35 Dakar initially approved sports are included in either the sports competition program or in the engagement program. This ensures the involvement of all 35 IFs, while significantly adapting the size and scale of the games and better fit with them to the local environment. It also maximizes the impact in Dakar and Senegal. Sports in a competition program will be adopted by their respective IF as well as with the local authorities, considering the national federations in Senegal and more widely in Africa, to fit their sports elite pathway and legacy planning. On the engagement programs side, there will be opportunities for the sports to have a strong presence on the ground and to be showcased locally through various activities, including sports, initiation, local competitions, and showcasing events, as well as internationally via Olympic platforms. As an example, the Nanjing 2014 Sports Lab showcased sports with more than 80 demonstrations, competitions for local youth, and other entertainment. Sports on the engagement program will continue to officially and equally promoted as being part of the Youth Olympic Games Dakar 2026. All athletes in the age range of the Youth Olympic Games will also have the opportunity to experience the athletes' education program either as a part of the Games time experience as an athlete or through the program being offered during IF's existing events. The toolkit will be proposed to and at the disposal of the IFs. Legacy will be transversal for all proposed programs in a specific collective way, having both sport-specific legacy plans and a collective sport legacy plan from Dakar 2026 for Senegal and Africa. A list of updated principles reflecting the new approach was developed with the objective of providing a sustainable and credible model for the Youth Olympic Games Dakar 2026. The decision to amend the sports program for Dakar 2026 was taken on the 13th of June 2024 by the IOC-EB, with 25 sports confirmed in the competition program and 10 in the engagement program. All are officially part of the Dakar 2026. And this flexible approach to the program sets a base for the approach for future Youth Olympic Games also. This concludes the report of the Olympic Program Commission, and before I pass back the floor to Mr. President, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to my fellow Commission members for their invaluable contribution, as well as to all the Olympic IFs for the great partnership. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stoß, also for this part of your report. Are there questions to Dakar? No, then congratulations for as always a clear and comprehensive report. I will not repeat my comments that you are getting a little bit spoiled there, both by the EB and the session.
So wait for tomorrow.
Oh, come on. This would be the worst moment, to start with it. Thank you very much, and congratulations for the great work. And now we could proceed to the next topic on the agenda. This is 7.14, and there I invite the chair of the Olympic Solidarity Commission, Mr. Robin Mitchell, to present the report. Mr. Mitchell, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, President, and good afternoon, everyone. Dear IOC members, International Federation representatives, National Olympic Committees and their entourage with ANOC, and of course the athletes, that will be the main focus of my presentation. It gives me great pleasure today to present you with an update of the Olympic Solidarity Plan for 2025 to 2028 that has recently been discussed at the Olympic Solidarity Commission and approved by the IOC Executive Board. But to start off with, what you see on the screen behind me are pictures of 10 athletes from among more than 1,300 benefiting from Olympic scholarships who have been preparing for the Olympic Games here in Paris. This Olympic Solidarity Program helps athletes prepare, gain experience in regional and continental competitions, and ultimately try to qualify for the biggest event of their career, the Olympic Games. And as for the 10 on the screen and all other scholarship holders that have qualified for Paris, you can follow their journey up until this point and during the Games on our digital platforms. But athlete scholarships are not everything Olympic Solidarity does. Athlete needs the support of their entourage, coaches, and sports administrators, and to help them build their capacity and to organize activities promoting the fundamental principles of Olympism, NOCs can rely on a series of Olympic Solidarity programs. The following video will showcase some of that broader scope of Olympic Solidarity activity.
One significant way that the Olympic Solidarity has
really impacted my life is definitely the training. I am currently living in San Diego, and without the Olympic Solidarity support, I would not be training with the team that I am and would not have made the improvements in my goals and times that I have just this past year alone.
I came to Germany to train like 2 years ago, and of course I've been using the Solidarity funds, and it has helped me to go to like more competitions, because within Europe it's easier to travel and go for lots of competitions. The coach they also help in supporting the club, the competitions. So with my solidarity and the help of the club, I was able to do a lot of competitions and going around.
La bourse de la solidarité olympique m'a permis de financer ma préparation olympique. Cela m'a entre autres permis de financer mes déplacements entre mon lieu d'habitation et mon point d'entraînement qui était distant de 200 km.
The Olympic scholarship has allowed me to pursue my passion in triathlon and be able to qualify for the Olympic Games and be the first triathlete from Iceland to do so. I am so thankful for having received the grant. It has helped me tremendously on my way to Paris.
Je dis tout net que le soutien de la solidarité olympique au Sénat du Mali a eu des bénéfices inestimables. Pour ma part, il a renforcé mes compétences en management des organisations sportives, et pour le Sénat, il a permis de réussir les programmes de la solidarité olympique.
Without the scholarship program from the IOC, it was not possible for me to continue my career. So definitely Germany was helped me and supporting me to return to the normal life, and IOC was supporting me to continue my career in the best way possible. So I think without this program I couldn't continue.
The biggest changes that I've experienced in my life since I've entered the WISH program is that I can coach with a bigger confidence, and that I'm more aware of my strengths, but also opportunities to work with others.
Paris, here I come.
Paris, here I come.
Paris, me voilà.
Paris, here I come.
Thank you, Olympic Solidarity.
Merci, thank you, Aunichi.
You will find on your tables a QR code with a link to the 2023 Olympic Solidarity and NOC Services Report, recounting the important work accomplished by the Olympic Solidarity, as well as the other IOC departments supporting and servicing the NOCs. We encourage you to read this and share it with your Olympic communities at home. 4 days ago, the Olympic Solidarity Commission, pictured on your screens, discussed the 2025 to 2028 plan, which was then approved by the IOC Executive Board. I'm happy to report that despite the difficult economic times, the IOC has been able to secure a 10% increase in the Olympic Solidarity budget for the next 4 years. This will allow the NOCs to breathe a sigh of relief as they learn that they will be able to continue to count on Olympic solidarity while they face the ever-increasing costs related to their operations and the participation in the Olympic Games and other events. This increase is possible thanks to the IOC's strong financial position and prudent management of the funds by the Olympic Solidarity Commission. I would now like to extend my expression of gratitude to the IOC President and the Executive Board for facilitating this important investment in the development of sport worldwide, and to my colleagues on the Olympic Solidarity Commission for overseeing its implementation. We can now look to the future with optimism, knowing that a new generation of athletes will continue to benefit from the Olympic Solidarity support, and NOCs will be able to rely on a steady flow of assistance for the initiatives. Always with the athletes' interest at the center, the 2025 to 28 budget increase will allow for more Olympic scholarships to be made available, providing opportunities to a larger pool of athletes from NOCs with traditionally smaller teams. To ensure gender parity at the Games, gender equity needs to be taken into account already while selecting athletes to receive assistance for their preparation for the Games, and this budget increase will allow this. Thanks to Olympic Solidarity's gender incentives, the ratio of female athletes benefiting from Olympic scholarships has gone from 38% ahead of Tokyo to 45% for Paris. In terms of team sports, while only 41% of the teams supported during the 2013 to 2016 plan were women's teams, now that share is 55%. Earlier today, we had the pleasure to welcome here on the stage the representatives of the Olympic refugee team. They are the recipients of Olympic Solidarity support for refugee athletes, and the presence of this team in the Games reminds us of the continuous rise in the number of refugees and forcibly displaced persons across the world. As a result, more NOCs with a large refugee population looks to supporting refugee athletes in their communities to allow them to pursue their athletic careers despite the dire situation they find themselves in. Olympic Solidarity will be able to help more NOCs and through them more refugee athletes as long as the global situation doesn't improve. The second pillar in this plan. In view of the Youth Olympic Games in Dhaka, we'll expand the investment in youth programs with particular focus on Africa, helping the young athletes from that continent to excel in sport. Leading up to the Winter Youth Olympic Games in Gangwon earlier this year, Olympic Solidarity worked together with 5 winter IFs to organize training camps for athletes and coaches in biathlon, curling, bobsleigh and skeleton, luge and skiing. Many of these young athletes were able to qualify for Gangwon, and we celebrated their achievements in the beautiful winter scenery, reminiscent of Pyeongchang 2018, only a few months ago. In the first ever women's monobob competition in Yog, all 3 athletes on the podium had come from one of those camps supported by Olympic Solidarity. The first ever winter Yog medalist from Tunisia, who won a silver medal in men's bobsleigh, and Denmark's silver medal winning mixed team in curling, had all participated in the camps as well. We will try to replicate this success ahead of Dhaka, focusing on the young athletes and coaches from Africa to make sure the NOCs of the continent play an important part in the success of these Youth Olympic Games. On the request of IOC Athletes Commission and the IOC President, Olympic Solidarity introduced several years ago a program supporting NOC's athletes commissions for their activities. For 25 to 2028, each Continental Athletes Commission will also be guaranteed an annual subsidy to help them with their activities at a continental level. We hope that through this increased support, we'll contribute towards the strengthening of the effectiveness of athlete representation. Since the IOC's Olympism 365 strategy was launched in 2021, NOC's interest in sports contribution to the UN Sustainable Development Goals has just kept increasing. Indeed, 2023 was a record year as NOCs realized hundreds of projects that helped realize the IOC's vision of building a better world through sport. Through the Olympic Values Program, NOCs can access funding, enabling them to ensure that more people can benefit from sport and Olympic values education while keeping their national sporting movement safe, sustainable, and inclusive. More and more opportunities are also offered to NOCs through the Olympism 365 strategy to benefit from partnerships and consortia which pool funding for maximum impact. The fifth pillar. Each one of the 206 NOCs is a completely distinct and unique organization operating in a very specific context. Thanks to the decentralization of Olympic solidarity programs initiated in 2001, the 5 continental associations can design their own programs to best meet the needs of the NOCs of their continent. The increase in the funding of continental initiatives will allow the continents to continue developing such signature programs as Olymp Africa, Pan Am's support for youth athletes and their coaches, Olymp Asia, European Youth Olympic Festival, or the Oceania Sports Education Program, also known as OSEP. The fifth pillar. With the ever-increasing complexity of the sports movement and the pressure on the NOCs to deliver so much more than ever in the past, on one hand, and the rising operational costs on the other, professionalization and efficiency are no longer an option. The increase in the available funding will help all NOCs with their operational costs. We are reminded every day that we are living in precarious times. The approval of the Olympic Solidarity Plan for the next 4 years gives athletes the reassurance that they need to be able to continue their training and hard work over the next Olympiads. And for the NOCs who had already started the planning and budgeting for the next cycle, our hope is that the news of the approval of 2025 to 2028 plan gives them the peace of mind. They can now focus fully on the needs of their delegations here in Paris and on supporting their athletes so they can perform at their best. Thank you all for your attention, and I now pass the floor back to the President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell, for this excellent report and very positive outlook for the support of the athletes and the NOCs. Are there questions? No? Then thank you very much, and congratulations again, and please continue the great work you are doing together with your Commission members. We could now move on still to the topic 11. This is the report on the activities of the IOC administration. There is a written report by the Director General. Are there questions? No, then big thanks, Mr. De Kepper, to you and all your colleagues. Once more, this written report gives a great impression of the really outstanding work having been accomplished by you and your colleagues. Thank you very much. And then on topic 13, we have the International Council of Arbitration for Sport. There is also a written report by the President of the Council, Mr. Coates. Are there questions? No. Thank you, Mr. Coates, and congratulations as well. And now, dear friends and colleagues, I propose that we are moving on to what I think for sure to be a highlight of our IOC session. And this is the IOC Refugee Olympic Team. As you may remember, we created the first Refugee Olympic Team in Rio 2016 with 10 athletes, and the second one in Tokyo 2020 with 29, and this time with 37 here in Paris. When the first Refugee Olympic team competed in Rio, there were 65 million displaced people, and now we are at 120 million. This is the deplorable side. But there is also an encouraging side, because since 2016, the entire Olympic movement has embraced this idea of the IOC Refugee Olympic Team and is doing more and more to identify and to support refugees and to welcome them into our community. Not only with national Olympic committees hosting refugee athletes, but international federations changing regulations to ensure refugees can compete, supporting the first refugee team at the Continental Games and 48 NOCs and federations on the Sport for Refugees coalition that has jointly pledged to support refugees through sport. All of this continues greatly to deliver on Recommendation 11 of Olympic Agenda 2020+5, with the Olympic Refuge Foundation leading this work towards 1 million young people affected by displacement to access safe sport by the end of this year. And on this background, my dear colleagues and friends, please welcome the Refugee Olympic Team Paris 2024.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, dear IOC fellow, distinguished guests. In 2016, I was selected to be part of the first ever Refugee Olympics team, a movement that changed my life. Since then, I have been the honor of becoming a board of the Olympic Refuge Foundation, and more recently, an IOC member. The IOC and the Olympic movement is continuing to support the refugee at all levels. This is why it is so exciting to be here at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Here we will see the team competing once again, knowing that many refugee athletes like myself and young people will benefit through our work. In fact, nearly 400,000 young people affected by displacement around the world are now accessing safe sport, and they are experiencing better mental health and finding belonging, thanks to the work of the Olympic Refuge Foundation. As our president said, The team has grown a lot since I was competed in 2016 with 9 fellow teammates. Unfortunately, so too are the number of people forced from their home due to the ever-increasing war, conflict, persecution across the globe. Thanks to the President for his vision and all of you for helping to make it a reality. I'm deeply grateful and also proud to be here today. It is now my pleasure and honor to pass over to Chef de Mission for the Paris 2024 Refugee Olympic team, Masoma Hali Zada, to introduce the team for the Paris 2024. This team is yours, our team, and the world team. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, President. Good afternoon to all of you. It's my honor to be here as Chef de Mission of the Paris 2024 Refugee Olympic team, representing the largest ever Refugee Olympic team, a team of 37 athletes competing across 12 different sports. Athletes live in 15 different countries and speak more than 10 languages. As many athletes are busy training, the whole team cannot be here with us today, but behind me there is a photo of the whole team, and I am delighted to introduce you to those that are already living in the Olympic Village. Farida Abaroj, Athletics. Yahya Al-Ghotani, Taekwondo. Amir Ansari, Cycling. Sebratullah Arab, Judo. Ramiro Romero, Weightlifting. Dorian Keletala, Athletics. Saman Soltani, Canoe Sprint. And Manija Talash, Breaking. Before coming to Paris, I spent a very special few days with the team in the region of Normandy and the town of Bayeux. We brought the athletes and coaches together for the first time at our pre-games welcome event. We exchanged stories and experiences, united by our journey, one inspiring the other. This experience was something me and many of these athletes will never forget. The ambience and hospitality from the community, the world-class training facilities and the respect, understanding and team spirit fostered over these few days made very clear to me what the team is about. You may remember that in Tokyo, we just missed out on a medal. Having met the athletes, seen their commitment and motivation, I'm confident that this time we can demonstrate to the world what refugees are capable of, what an Olympic medal. To share some of this with you, you will see now a video from Bayeux.
In the past 10 years, it went from 65 million displaced people to 120 million, which is why this team is needed more than ever.
Finally, we get to meet each other, everyone from different country, different language, different personality, and everyone's a bit shy. We're all enjoying seeing each other face to face. It's all love.
They greeted us so nicely. There was so many cameras on us, so it was just amazing and lovely.
Training's going well, no injury. I feel good, I feel great.
I'm loving the energy here and everything. The training venue is amazing.
We are speaking different languages, we are coming from different skin colors and religions, and I said to me, okay, what's the plan? let's do that music and dancing. You know, music is international.
We're here with a bigger message. We are here as refugee Olympic team members. Our biggest message is, of course, to show displaced people that no matter what obstacles they had to go through, we had to go through, we managed to be back at the biggest sport event in the world.
It's just incredible to see what the IOC and the NOCs around the world are doing together. Sport is an incredible way to unite people.
I'm going to miss everyone here.
Simon, could you share something about your experience in Bayo and what is it like to be here, your first Olympic Games with the Refugee Olympic team?
Hi, everyone. So my experience in Bayo was so great. I feel like a team and like a family after a long time. And we all hear about these words: courage, solidarity, sacrifice, peace, and love. And I have the chance to really feel them and live them. And this is my first Olympic Games and my biggest dream that have come true. I'm so happy and proud that I'm here, part of this team. And I hope one day I win a gold medal in Olympic Games. And I want to thank IOC members, President Bach, and Olympic Refuge Foundation, and everyone who helped us that follow our dream here. And I want to say that we made it. Thank you.
I now have the pleasure to announce the 2 flag bearers for the Paris 2024 Refugee Olympic team. The flag bearers have been selected to represent the whole team, its diversity, its raison d'être, and its strength. I am pleased to announce that the flag bearer approved by the IOC Executive Board will be suspense. Cindy Nakba, boxing. And for men, Yahya Al-Ghotani, taekwondo. Cindy Nakba returned from Bayo to train and is currently traveling to Paris. She is the first athlete that qualified on the Refugee Olympic team for Paris 2024. Cindy is strongly supported by GB Boxing and the British Olympic Committee. And you see her already in the video. Yahya Al-Ghotani is competing in taekwondo. Only 1% of refugees are resettled in high-income countries, such as across Europe or North America. It's important this team reflects the global reality. Yahya lives in Azraq refugee camp and provides inspiration and hope for millions of others living in similar contexts, whether in camps or urban contexts across the globe. Yahya has the full support of World Taekwondo and the Jordan Olympic Committee. For those of you who don't speak Arabic, please use your headsets so that we can hear from Yahya.
Ali Yahya.
Flag bearer for the Refugee Olympic team.
مرحبا للجميع. Welcome to you all. I'm Yahya Al-Ghotani. I'm a member of the refugee team, the Olympic refugee team.
أول مشاركة أولمبية لي.
This is the first time I will be participating in the Olympics. I will be a flag bearer. I can't even describe my emotion at being a flag bearer. It was already such an honor for me to be a member of the team, but to also be a flag bearer and represent 100 million refugees from throughout the world. When I think about my journey as a refugee, when I think about my family and my friends, my father and mother, I'm thinking of all of them as I stand here And it's such an honor for me to be a member of this team and to represent refugees throughout the world. I can't even describe my feelings. We represent the same thing. We represent so many things, and I really hope that I will be able to give value to my team. I would like to I would like to thank everyone who's helped us, all of the members of the administration of the team. On a personal level and a professional level, I would like to send out a message to all of the refugees in the world. Keep your dreams alive, keep your hope alive, and you will succeed. I am part of the refugee team, and this means that other refugees can also join the team in the future and become flag bearers. So do not give up is my message. Keep your dreams alive, and hopefully you will succeed. And thank you to everyone who has supported us, and peace to everyone.
Thank you, Yahya. Finally, on behalf of the team, we are delighted to present the President and Executive Board with the Refugee Olympic Team pin. We hope you will all wear it proudly.
So everybody will get one. The team being very generous with us.
Thank you to the President and the IOC member and all the refugees around the world for supporting and cheering for us. Thank you so much.
And dear friends and colleagues, this work, what we are doing through the entire Olympic movement, and in particular through the Olympic Refuge Foundation, is not limited to the IOC Refugee Olympic team. Since we are, through this Olympic Refuge Foundation, supporting mental health, social inclusion and other opportunities for hundreds of thousands of young people and their communities affected by displacement. All this would not be possible without the great support and engagement of one man. And this one man is Filippo Grandi, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees and the Vice Chair of our Olympic Refuge Foundation. Him I had to surprise in 2015, because when I announced the intention of the IOC to create a team of refugee athletes at the UN General Assembly at the end of 2015, now I can admit it, I did not really anticipate the scope and the practical implications that this decision would have. So immediately after the announcement, I realized that without the expertise and support of the UNHCR, it would be impossible to turn this ambitious idea into reality. So I gave a call to the newly appointed High Commissioner, Filippo Grandi, not knowing him, so I was a little bit scared what he would say when I would confront him with this idea. But he, from the very first moment, warmly welcomed the idea and promised every support we would need. And he did not only promise, he delivered. with all his team as UNHCR. And since then, you have heard from Poor Masoma Saman and Yaya and all the others of the evolution in this support for refugees worldwide. And for all these reasons, it's a really great pleasure that I can inform you today that the Olympic Laurel jury has decided to award Filippo Grandi with the Olympic Laurel at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. He is stepping there in the footsteps of two great predecessors, Kip Keino, Rio 2016, and Professor Mohamed Yunus for Tokyo 2020. So congratulations to Filippo Grandi. And now we did not want to let you go and to enjoy lunch together before giving you a message, not only from us, but also from the UN Secretary General.
Bonjour and welcome to the 2024 Summer Olympic Games. The world gathers in Paris to celebrate the power of sport, to bring hope, to transcend cultures, to unite people, to promote mutual respect and fair play. These are also the ideals of the United Nations. In the spirit of the Olympic truce, I call on everyone to lay down their arms, build bridges, foster solidarity, and strive for the ultimate goal, peace for all. I wish every success to the Olympians and Paralympians. You inspire us to dream bigger. May the Olympic flame light the path to a world of peace and harmony. Merci beaucoup.
And we are, with all our hearts, with all our support, with you. We wish you good luck. Then for the competitions, prepare well, get focused, and make not only 120 million displaced people around the world proud, make all of you proud, and make yourself happy and proud, and then we will be very, very happy and proud with you and of you. All the very best to the IOC Refugee Olympic Team Paris 2024. And now I was told we would make a photo all together, but I was not told how it would work. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear members, let's move to the stage. Come please here to the front, the refugee team as well, the executive board please as well, and we do the photo here on the stairs, on the side ramp, left, right, and we'll have a picture. And while this is happening, the refugee Olympic team will still distribute you the pins that has been given already to the president and the executive board. Chers membres, merci de venir sur scène, sur les escaliers. On va faire la photo avec l'équipe et la commission exécutive et le président sur les escaliers. Can I have the refugee team, please, already? Masoma, please.
Can I come in the middle?
please feel free already to join the stairs.
Well, it's for photo, so I guess it should be fine.
You can use as well a side ramp if you want. We can have as well some people standing on the left and the right of the stairs. This is already the training and rehearsal for tomorrow's official photo of the IOC members at the 142nd session.